talk about?
Plus, I was like, he already said if you guys want to let him play, he'll play. I just want to make
And what they say?
That's what you said. That's what he said.
Fuck yeah, I'd rather play.
Well, because we're supposed to meet on our regular Tuesday meeting. Billy was already like, all right, when we meet on next Tuesday, I want all you guys to come with you out there. So he told Jay, so he told all of us. You know what I mean? And I was like, that's how we talking about it.
I'd rather play. So we're going to auction off the other two spots? You?
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's the smartest thing to do.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN. Make sure you keep the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it. Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for, live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing for those subscribing on YouTube. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Friday. Been waiting all week. We got a great show to round out the week. It's a Friday, so as per usual, Rick Bentley will join us in just a couple of minutes at the bottom of the hour. And I got a bunch of stuff to talk about. I believe that some sort of conflict with the Iranians could occur as early as this weekend. We'll talk about the president who talked about the possibility of a strike before heading down to Corpus Christi. We'll talk about that as well because the president was down there trying to drum up support for Republicans in the upcoming Texas primary coming up on Tuesday, where 3 Republicans are battling it out for John Cronin's long-held seat. He's a 6-term president, or excuse me, a 4-term president. We start all over again. Bailey on the Texas Senate seat, take 2. John Cornyn is a 4-term president, meaning, in case you were smoking weed during civics, Senate seats last 6 years. Been there for 24 years. And now, for the first time in his whole career, he's in deep trouble. Ken Paxton, a very controversial attorney general, is leading by 8 points in some polls. And Wesley Hunt, an African-American congressman, former military man, is right behind Cronin. I mean, Cronin may not even make it to the general. You need 50 plus 1. If nobody gets 50 plus 1, it's the top 2 vote getters that go there. And it looks like it's going to be a primary runoff on the Republican side. Meantime, Jasmine Crockett, as I've told you, had an 8-point lead on James Tellerico until that whole Stephen Colbert equal time nonsense erupted, where Tellerico, who again, like I said, was trailing Jasmine Crockett by 8 points on the Democratic side for that Texas seat, was scheduled to go on Stephen Colbert. CBS was concerned about the FCC coming down on them for equal time, which is over 100-year law, but just never gets enforced because the most apparent lopsided media, to be blunt with you, is radio, where conservatism and conservative radio try to adhere to that. For example, we just recently had we're quite naturally working to get Steve Hilton on. We're not going to touch the Democrats. Well, A, because they're Democrats, but B, because there are 9 of them. How the Sam Hill are you going to do 9 Democrats in the time span that we have? So what Colbert did was about to get whacked, didn't resign his $10 million contract. So what he did is he went and put it on YouTube. Well, it got like 6 million views, and in 24 hours, Tellerico raised about $2.5 million. And as I predicted the day after, about a week ago, he's going to win that primary. And more evidence of his victory, Kamala Harris came out today and endorsed Jasmine Crockett, which breaks my heart because we want Jasmine Crockett as the nominee. If John Cornyn wins that side, on the Republican side, they're not going to have to spend any money in Texas. But Paxton is a problem. Cheated on his wife. We'll get into that in just a second when I get down there. I don't know why I'm telling the story now. U.S. fighter jets are moving toward Israel, as is the USS Gerald Ford, our largest aircraft carrier. So, like I said, I think there's trouble there. And I've got a horrendous story out of Los Angeles, which ended. I don't know if you've heard all this ruckus about this 70-year-old pedophile who was expected to be paroled on what is called the elderly parole program. And to a certain degree, I get it. Because, like, let's say you're 51 years old, and as heinous as it sounds, stay with me, and you shoot your wife, and you've done 25 years of a life term, and now you're 76 years old. Is there really a fear that you're going to go back into society and commit murder again? Particularly when your murder was a specific, you didn't go on a murder rampage. You avenged your wife who was cheating on you or whatever the situation was. That's one argument. It's not mine. Because mine is, you take a life, you should never, ever leave prison. Period. End of sentence. Period. Unless it was manslaughter. Unless it was a fight that went bad and the person died. But if you committed premeditated murder, I am going to kill Chris Burdick. And I do. I should never walk the streets of Bakersfield again. I should be able to go to LA. No, I'm kidding. And coming up at the 5, I told you, our favorite couple. Who's our favorite couple? Chris Burdick. We're going to talk with Jenny Voisin again at the 5 o'clock hour. They have a new egg, and sources tell me they're expecting more. And once again, and I really wasn't going to call her until I watched the 17 News this morning. I really wasn't. But what did I see that troubled me, Chris Burdick? For the second time now. Empty nest. What's going on, Jackie? What? There's an ethnic joke in there, but I'm not going to touch it. I mean, I understand the daddy. No, I'm not going there. I'm just not. I'm not, as much as I'd like to. I'm not. Not going to go with about the absentee daddy. The mama got to stay. No, I'm not going to go. And we wind up Black History Month. This is the final week in February in Black History Month with the greatest Black man I ever met. I don't know about y'all, but we'll focus on the life and times of Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. In the meantime, we begin with William Jefferson Clinton testifying, the highest ranking official ever to come before this committee. And, what's funny is yesterday, Hillary, as most of you know, they went up to Chappaqua to do this. They didn't have to come down to D.C. The committee went to them, which, okay, he's a former president. She's a former, Secretary of State, United States Senator, former First Lady. All right, I get it. But the truth of the matter is Miss Rodham Clinton absolutely threw her husband under the bus yesterday. She didn't know Epstein. Her only contact with Ghislaine Maxwell apparently came at her daughter Chelsea's wedding, in which Ghislaine Maxwell, apparently not with Epstein, but came as a +1 with somebody who was invited. And you know what the majority of her other answers were? Go ask my husband. I don't know. Go ask Bill. He'll be here tomorrow. Go ask Slick Willie. I don't know. I got nothing to do it. I ain't never been in an island. I ain't been on a plane. I never met the man. The girl showed up at my daughter's wedding. I didn't want her there, but she showed up. And so go ask my husband. Tell me that's not just a little bit of retribution on Hillary's part. I don't know. She could have just said, I don't know. But she said, I don't know. Ask my husband. Who would, Mark Swain. Let's check this out, because I might be playing with them this weekend. It might be warm enough. I get up, it's not why are you making me out to be a lazy SOB? I have never said it's too early for me to play. I have never said that. No. I've said it's too cold. It is too cold. And I get up, they play at 8 during the springtime, They play at 7 during the summer. And I was almost there every week during the summer, every Sunday on the summer, because, at 7 o'clock, it's a comfortable temperature. And then it gets warm by like the 5th hole. But now, the last couple of times I told Mark I was going to play, I got up out of my front door and I said, no. Went right back to bed. It's not, oh, I'm so tired, I'm so sleepy. I'm just old and I can't handle cold, even though Mark's older than I am. But nevertheless, he comes out with a pot of coffee. But let's see what he's got to say, because I might play with him this weekend. I got a 903 with Turnipseed tomorrow. The point of capital punishment is that you never walk again. Yeah. Oh, Saturday and Sunday. Oh, I got a 903 tomorrow with Turnipseed. I cheat. I throw down a couple, just kind of work on my game. We barely even keep score, but I can work on my game because I need to work on my game tomorrow. Shot a 54 on the back. That could be a Bailey record. That's just silly. And all I'm going to do tomorrow morning, I'm not even going to hit tomorrow morning. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the great chipping facility they have at BCC. That's all I'm going to do before we play. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to chip the golf ball, just try to get up and down, just try to make bogeys. That's my issue. Doubles and triples. You just can't make. If I made 18 bogeys, I would walk off a golf course extremely happy. That's not true, because I wouldn't win any skins with Mark Swayman and the boys. I got to make par to win skins. But I just find this whole Clinton thing absolutely fascinating. And I think finally we're starting to get some bipartisanship because, well, not really, because all the Democrats want is Trump to testify. That's all they want, despite the fact that his name is in there more than anybody else. There's nobody in there that says, even Virginia Giuffre, the late, who committed suicide and was a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, testified that she never saw Donald Trump acting inconsistently with what we think is right. She never saw him with young people, et cetera, et cetera. There's nothing in there that even implies that Trump did something bad or criminal. And if there was, don't you think, and this is the quintessential question, if there was a smoking gun about Donald Trump, don't you think the Biden administration would have come out with it? Really, you think they would have covered up for Trump? If you lost your ever-loving mind? And that's why I say that at least to some degree, we're getting some bipartisanship, because they're talking about bringing in Merrick Garland, Biden's AG, and asking him that very question. Why the Sam Hill didn't you release the papers? Why the Sam Hill have you not gone after all these people that we're not going after? What the hell's going on? They're talking about bringing in Garland. Oh, Lord, I've done it again. I put down initials, remember. BG. Who would BG be? Bill Gates. HS. Oh, Howard Slotkin, or whatever his name is, the Commerce Secretary. I don't think it's HS, but the Commerce Secretary. They're talking about bringing him in, and a whole lot of other people. And I think it's right. I really do. We'll get into that just a little bit. Let's go ahead and take a break. Chris is on the phone with somebody, which is odd. I've never understood why producers get in conversations with our listeners. Just like, hello, this is Ralph Bailey. You want to talk? No, bye. What was that all about?
Well, you do have a caller that's been waiting a little bit, but the lady would like to ask a question, or wanted me to ask you the question. What's the point of all the Epstein stuff if they can't really find any evidence, or if there's really nobody that's going to testify? What's the end goal of the Epstein situation?
Well, thus far, it's just been covering their behinds and a game of chicken between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats ignored it for years. Republicans ginned it up with all the Dan Bongino and Kash Patel. I mean, you go back and look at some of the video of Kash Patel screaming about what's going on, and when we get in there, we're going to do this and that. Dan saying the very same thing. I don't know. I think it's having devastating effects in Europe. It's going to cost their prime minister, Keir Starker's dead man walking. His U.S. ambassador that he appointed is just arrested. There was an arrest in Norway. I mean, they're serious about it. Prince Andrew is no longer Prince Andrew. I mean, it's having a tremendous effect globally. Here, we're dragging our feet because they're missing depositions that the Trump administration won't let go. And, it only makes you wonder that Trump maybe has to be involved, because why are they dragging their feet? I really can't answer your question as to what is the end game. I mean, the end game is to try to support the survivors at the end of the day. Is that getting done? No, not really. And as I've said, huge mistake by Pam Bondi, the most inept attorney general I've ever seen, while she testified before a panel of Congress, the survivors were in the back of the room and they stood up and they asked them questions. And Pam Bondi never even turned around to look at those ladies, never even turned around to look at them, let alone to say, because one of the questions that they were asked was, has any of you reached out to the Department of Justice? They all raised their hands. Have any of you been contacted by the Department of Justice? And none of them raised their hands. And instead of Pam Bondi, Madam Inept, saying, you know what, ladies, leave your numbers with the clerk or see me after the meeting. We will recognize you. We will talk with you. We apologize for the Biden administration ignoring you. This administration will not ignore you. I see you. We hear you. We will talk to you. Instead, Bondi, with her arrogant, pretty ass, sat there. And I mean, I told you about the picture where Bondi is in the background and the ladies are in the foreground and they're giving her the side eye as they're holding up their hands saying, no, we have not been contacted by the Department of Justice. And she's just sitting there writing her notes. Like, what next congressman am I going to attack and how am I going to go about it? So I can't answer your question. Let's, can the president still hanging on?
Yeah, there you go.
Tell them to hang on. We got to take a quick break. We're really late. We'll come back, take a phone call, and then we'll get into, I don't know if I'm going to have time actually, a really ugly case in LA where a 70-year-old pedophile was about to go on what's called the elderly parole program, where they basically if you've been in jail for over 20 years after 50, they have a board that can let you go. They're about to let this guy go, but it ended well. I'll explain in just a second if we've got some time. Then just a couple of minutes, Rick Bentley, our entertainment man, KGT entertainment reporter, will join us. We'll talk about the movement to Israel, the USS Gerald Ford, F-22s there. They're trying to protect Israel because in case of an attack by the United States on Iran, their first reaction will be to attack Israel. The fact that we're moving in the area to protect Israel almost solidifies my earlier week prediction that there's going to be a conflict in the next couple of days. From the Friends of Big Bear Valley, Jack Shadow, the Eagles up there have a new egg, eaglet, possible, I don't know. They got an egg. We'll talk with her about that. And we wrap up Black History Month with the life and times of Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we're streaming live at KERNradio.com. Yeah? Say what? Yeah.
High-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
Every Thursday at 4:30, Daniel Petrie, our money man from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors, joins us as he did yesterday. Hope you're with us so you can understand just how important Daniel is to this broadcast. His economic and political savvy is vital to what we do. Comes in and talks about the deficit. He talks about the progress of gold and silver and just how the economy is doing and how it impacts you. And his political knowledge allows us to study what's going on inside the Beltway and how that impacts you. Call him today at 395-9400, 395-9400, 395-9400. Daniel Petrie Wealth Advisors.
the sky. Yeah, that's why they cry. It's a bird. It's a plane. No, it's them. It's Paul Sheldon's team, that well-oiled machine of Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Okay, not superpowers, but still thousands of hours deciphering Medicare's whims, fighting the good fight, learning what works right. Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. So it might seem old-fashioned, but hard work with passion most often gives you the win. And the trio that knows are those Medicare pros, Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. You know, actually, to many, they are superheroes. Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
All Americans should do what they can to prepare for the future. Donald Trump Jr. here with an important message. More and more Americans are looking for ways to diversify their hard-earned money, and gold is the perfect solution. For example, a gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group lets you diversify your IRA or 401k into physical gold with zero taxes and zero penalties. You stay in control with a tangible asset that's held value for thousands of years. And right now, Birch Gold is offering a free info kit to help you understand how it works. Just text the word secure, SEC, to 989898. There's no pressure, no obligation, just the facts. You can't predict the future, but you can be prepared, but only if you educate yourself. So take that first step right now. Text secure to the number 989898 today. That's secure to 9898.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Round and round and round my head.
I brought the list, by the way. This is the list. It lays next to my bed. And every time I'm talking to myself. Never mind. I have a phone call still?
Yes.
Who you got?
Torrance.
Torrance. You're on the Ralph Bailey Show. One of my favorite parts of Los Angeles. Hello. Hawthorne. Torrance.
Yo, what's up?
What's going on?
What's up, man? Hey, fourth floor grade. Shout out to second floor grades off.
I didn't understand what you said.
I said fourth floor of Graves Hall. Shout out to second floor of Graves Hall.
No. No. Third floor Graves Hall. That was the floor.
No, I said fourth.
No.
Yeah.
My daddy lived on the fourth floor. Dr. King lived on the fourth floor.
Fourth floor.
Well,
you and Rich and Hakeem, I thought y'all was the second floor with Leslie and them and V Hall.
yes, you know V Hall from South Carolina.
Bruh, this is Torrance Stevens from Memphis.
Torrance!
Tennessee.
Are you kidding me? Dude, where are you?
Bro, I had to find you out, man.
Where are you in Tennessee?
No, I'm still in. I taught at Emory University for like 20 years, Moore School of Medicine. I'm an infectious disease scientist, but I found you online. I was like, let me holler this man. Mickey's Big Mouth, beer steak. I remember I read on your profile on this page that you like expensive scotch. But when I brought VAT 69 and Old Fishes here, you ain't drink that. I drink Bullet now, but I mean, bruh, don't trip.
Man, I remember the days we were drinking Mickey Big Mouths. Are you kidding me?
Oh, man, we was like playing quarters and they quartered us off.
Yeah.
They got me first because I was the big man. I think they got JR and Stevie Mac next and then you. They quartered us off individually.
Hey, man, did you hear JR passed away?
Yeah, I did. I
Couldn't believe that.
Man, it was sad, bro.
That was
We
sad.
had a good time.
Yeah, because I'm still in contact with Phil Sadler. He's up in Oakland.
I'm like, I hit with Craig, Webb, Brewer, everybody, man. But, you know, I saw you. I said, let me call this motherfucker. Let me call this cat online and shit. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, leave your number. Leave your number with my producer. Let me get a hold of you, man.
Bruh, go to my Substack, permanently banned from Twitter, Dog Crime, Torrance Stevens, PhD. You'll find it.
All
Send
right.
me an email. I'll shoot you my number. But keep the show up, man.
All right.
You know, these Trump haters I can't live with, man.
I hear you.
Can't live with them.
Man, it's great to hear from you, man. It really is. I'm glad you're doing well.
I'm glad you sound good, bro.
Thanks, Pop. I gotta fly. I got a hard break, man. I gotta fly, man. Thanks for calling. Wow. That is incredible. Torrance Stevens.
96.1 and
That was
1180
great.
KERN.
Come on in.
With us on the news, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Senator John Cornyn has joined President Trump for a flight to Texas. The first trip after his State of the Union address. Republican president plans to talk Friday about his energy and economic policies, but the red-hot Senate Republican primary race featuring Cornyn, State Attorney General Ken Paxton, and Representative Wesley Hunt may overshadow Trump's message.
He's crazy.
President Trump says the United States is talking with Cuba and raised the possibility of a friendly takeover of the island without explaining what that means. Trump told reporters on Friday that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is speaking with Cuban leaders at a very high level, but the White House offered no further details. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 521 points. More details at slnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Missing now for 16 years, Nathan Trino Jr. Guerra was last seen July 22nd, 2009 on Hazlett Avenue. Now the Kern County Sheriff's Department is pushing for tips to find him. He was 20 back then. He's described as 5'8", 200 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Christopher Tovar, who pleaded no contest to a drive-by shooting in 2024 in which he shot his ex's new boyfriend twice in his yard, has gotten an 11-year sentence. 180 tickets were given out by Bakersfield PD and the Highway Patrol between 8 and 4 Wednesday along Union Avenue. They say most of the tickets were for speeding and running red lights. At least one person was arrested. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Not again. This copier is always jamming.
We should call American Business Machines.
Since 1927, American Business Machines, an authorized Canon dealer, has been providing reliable office solutions. From state-of-the-art copiers to advanced printers, we ensure your business runs smoothly.
Yeah, that's
Visit ABM1.com or call us today at 1-877-YES. That's 1-877-937-2261. American Business Machines, your trusted partner for all your office technology needs.
While the rising waters of expenses and debt threatening to drown you, many people try to stay afloat by borrowing more money or using debt settlement programs. But those can take years. If you're trapped under credit card, payday loans or buy now, pay later plans, Chapter 7
I had to call this
bankruptcy
motherfucker
could
and find out
free
what's
you
he
much sooner,
doing.
in about 4 months and for
That
a
is
fraction
so
of the
cool,
cost.
dude.
Stop the
God
harassing
damn.
calls and letters.
'Cause I didn't know. I
Rebuild
thought it
your
was like
credit
a
quickly
crank
and
call.
clear the way for a fresh start. At Clean Slate BK Group, consumer
he wasn't-
Chapter 7 bankruptcies are all we do. We can help you erase credit card debt, medical bills, personal loans, even past due utility bills. No cost and with no obligation. Go to csbk.com. This is an attorney advertisement. Your results may vary, and my results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Clean Slate BK Group PC, located at 7 Penn Plaza, Suite 601, New York, New York, 10001, is responsible for the content of this ad. For more information, visit csbk.com. That's csbk.com. Your clean slate starts here.
I'm JR Flores. Catch the show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
And don't it feel good? It's a Friday, and that means KGET Entertainment reporter Rick Bentley is live in studio with us. How are you, sir?
I am great. How are you?
I'm outstanding. I'm in a really good mood now. I just
Yeah, you seem
just
like it.
jumped in the Wayback Machine about 40 years.
Yeah, you
Talked with somebody I haven't spoken to in four decades.
there's a youthful spirit to your voice right now.
It is. It is. I love Torrance. He was what, I was telling Chris, we were just talking about this yesterday, how at Morehouse College, it's not really serious, but it's kind of dorm versus dorm,
Of course.
and even in the dorm, it's floor versus floor. The third floor is the best. No, fourth floor is the best. And Torrance lived up on the fourth floor, and I lived on the third floor. And we were just talking about this, how we used to have, we called my room the pub. We used to have parties on Fridays, and we'd go up to Sears and buy a couple steaks and mix some cocktails and just act stupid like freshmen.
When life was good.
Exactly.
I think
when you had that safety net called Ralph Bailey Sr.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you were in your 20s, so you're supposed to act stupid.
Yeah. Isn't youth wasted on the young?
It truly is.
It truly is.
I have said that my whole life.
Yep.
It was wasted on me.
Yeah.
When I look back, things I should have done, things I shouldn't have done.
So early.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that sort of wildness to my. I don't have I have no wild stories about college. It was work and home life. And so
that was great. There aren't a whole lot of brothers from Morehouse I keep in contact with. I try to talk to Jimmy Cobb, brother who lives in DC, and every time I go with Honor Flight, I try to get a hold of him. Can't do it. I stay in touch with my roommate Phil Sadler, who's a dentist up in Oakland.
No.
And I found out that JR, we were talking with a friend of mine, not that JR, but another JR passed away recently. And there's just a couple of guys that I stay in contact with, but that was fun.
We're at that age, aren't we? That
we are.
Friends we know.
Yeah. That's why I've always said I'm the kiss of death. I've had 3 of my college roommates die.
Ooh.
Jake Daniel Gunn died young. He's kind of was into the a little bit. He died at 41, just like his dad died young, left him rich. And I've always talked about that when I lived with Danny. His stock person was my alarm clock. She called every morning at 6:30, every single morning, because his father left him a fortune.
Right.
And unfortunately, he followed in his dad's footsteps. Then Conrad Carey, my roommate with Phil, we had a 3-bedroom for the 3 of us. He died smoking a crack pipe. They found a crack pipe at the bottom of his feet, and he was dead on the steering wheel. And J.R. Myers, the guy that I roomed with my sophomore year, but I didn't really live with because he got online for Kappa Alpha Psi, and I never saw him. And I ended up paying for the apartment that whole semester by myself.
Do we have to put out with our other roommates out there?
Fred Beal is still alive, and unfortunately, of all my roommates, he was the one who ended up being a criminal.
Oh.
Stole a ring from me that I gave my girlfriend and ended up going to jail later on in life.
Wow.
And he's the only one that survived of all my roommates.
Your class reunions must be interesting.
Stay away with it.
Exactly.
I'm sorry to take up time.
Before we dive into anything interesting now, I do want you. We were talking about the equal play rule that with Colbert and everything.
Right.
I felt one of the most interesting examples of that I dealt with when I was working in Fresno, because that's when Alan Autry ran for mayor.
Alan Autry, the actor who was on Don't Tell Me. They made a movie out of it, and then they made a series with Carol O'Connor. I don't remember the name. In the Heat of the Night.
Right. Exactly.
The Sidney Poitier, Rod Steiger movie.
And the local Fox affiliate was showing the reruns of that. So when it became time, when he started announce he was going to run,
they had to pull it.
They had to pull it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the opponents could have said, "Hey, for every hour, we want an hour of advertising."
Yeah.
So, yes.
I don't know if that was a flattering portrayal of him. Wasn't he kind of a dummy on that show? No. I never really watched the series.
I'm dealing with that question in 2 different ways. Was it flattering, or was he a dummy? Let's just say he fit the part well.
Yeah. Oh, are you saying he's kind of a dummy? I think wasn't he a 2-term mayor? I think he got reelected, didn't he?
Yeah. How hard is that?
In Fresno?
Anywhere. Come on.
The motion picture was outstanding with Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger. The only injustice was Sidney Poitier should have won the Oscar that year for something, because he was in Heat of the Night and Guess Who's Coming to Dinner that year, and didn't even get nominated for either of them, which is the 60s.
He's one of those. He's one of those actors who've been won for everything.
Yeah.
To Serve with Love.
Yeah.
It's just
one of my favorite films of all time.
It was my wife's favorite film.
It's one of the best endings.
Oh, it is.
When they give him the gift.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a great picture.
But again, there are actors out there. There's a small list of actors. If they're in the film,
you got to watch it.
You go, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
It could end up being great, but it's at least going to be good because they're in it.
We just talked about that last week with Robert Duvall.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's just that immediate elevates it. So, yeah.
I just heard my parent called me and somebody in the chat room mentioned that Neil Sedaka died.
Oh.
Didn't know that.
His calendar girl ran out.
Very nice. Very nice.
Thank you.
I was not a real big Neil Sedaka fan.
Well,
I mean, I was a little too old. It was kind of like pop.
He was sort of
pop stuff.
And the flip side of Motown.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? You've got Motown, you've got Neil Sedaka.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was definitely pop. Oh, no question about that.
Lived a good life. I think he was 86 years old.
Yeah. Hey, anybody? I'm a big fan of living long.
Yeah, exactly. That's a nice run.
But what I want to talk about today,
yes,
is this is an old topic, but I want to go back over it about the lack of originality on television.
Okay.
And this comes up because the new version of Scrubs is just came on ABC.
And I heard there's a new version of Baywatch that they're working on.
And that's the point I'm about to make.
I mean, there's no new ideas in Burbank, Culver City, anywhere in Los Angeles.
You got Baywatch. They're now also going to do the Rockford Files.
No.
Yes.
Oh, James Garner is spinning in his grave.
He'll be played. Rock will be played by David Boreanaz from the Navy SEALs show, and
good actor, but
but
it's not James Garner.
Not James Garner.
And it's not the 70s.
No.
That's what made that series. 70s, that era.
Yeah.
Him driving around in that Camaro.
And they're trying to do another X-Files.
Yeah,
it's like, that thing's run its course. But there's a new show coming that Netflix it's kind of a sequel, but it's really kind of a bringing back an old show that I thought you might be interested in.
Yes.
Netflix has announced that they are going to do a sequel series to. That's my bad drum roll.
Okay.
A different
You can
world.
always ask Chris for sound effects.
A different world.
Really?
Yes.
Well, is any of the old cast? I guess no, they're all my age. They can't be in it.
Returning to the show will be Hadim Hardison.
Really?
Yes.
So he's an old professor.
I haven't. They just started production. I don't know what they're going to be doing.
This is becoming a theme show. You realize?
What?
This show is suddenly becoming a theme show because Different World is based on an HBCU.
Oh,
and my
that's right.
freshman classmate just called the show from an HBCU. Right. In fact, I've always told my audience this: the exterior shots of A Different World, where they're portraying a college supposed to be Hillman.
You're right.
That's actually Spelman College.
Okay.
Morehouse next door is a dump. I haven't been there in years. They may have upgraded it because, the Cosbys and a lot of people, Robert Smith, a lot of people throwing a lot of money at Morehouse. So it might be a little bit better. But in the 80s, it was a dump.
Okay.
And then you cross the street and you get inside the gates of Spelman College, you would think you were at Princeton.
Wow.
Because the Rockefellers flooded money and the Cosbys, because the Cosby's daughter went to Spelman as well.
Okay.
And it's a beautiful, beautiful campus. You would never know you were in the ghetto of Atlanta.
Wow,
Never.
That's amazing.
And the exteriors of that show are the campus of Spelman College.
There we go. Hey, we bring everything together.
I know.
There's a synergy
show.
to it.
It's Merv. I
Coming
feel like
back,
Merv Griffin.
Also coming back, Jasmine Guy.
Really?
Yep.
Well, yeah. If you bring back Hardeem, you got to bring back his wife.
Exactly. Daryl M. Bell.
He was the roommate.
Yeah.
Hardison. Yeah. Okay.
And Cree Summer.
She was the crazy-haired girl that acted like she was from California and sunshine and sunflower seeds.
Obviously, there's a whole group of young actors that they're going to focus on, like they did with the original World. But they're gonna bring it back. And I thought, you being a fan of that era of sitcoms,
I've seen every episode until like the end when they jump the shark. But who was part of that cast this is when I started to cut out was Will Smith's wife.
Jada Pinkett Smith?
Yes, she played a kind of a hardcore girl from Baltimore. Right. And in fact, Tupac Shakur made a cameo playing her hood boyfriend from Baltimore.
Wow.
Yeah.
I bet if we look back at all those episodes, there's going to be like oh, look, there's
Mhm.
Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
or there's, a lot
Yeah,
of
a
people.
lot of the Wayans brothers
I bet
had,
they, yeah.
had background roles.
Yeah. But again, talking about everything old and new again, I just want to go through this list real quickly. In just recent years, we have seen the return of Battlestar Galactica.
A Glenn A. Larson production, whose
the original.
daughter Kim I went to high school with.
Yep. The Twilight Zone, Lost in Space.
Really?
Yeah. Charmed.
Didn't they learn their lesson from the movie Lost in Space with
No.
Matt LeBlanc?
Oh yeah, that
was awful. I was a fan of Lost in Space as a little kid.
Oh, I loved it.
I remember Lost.
I was a fan of the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
But then we got to the 3rd season, and there was the Talking Carrot and all that, and it became the Dr. Smith show.
Yeah, it did.
And
Yeah,
it became this sort of ludicrous Saturday morning comedy kind of show.
Yeah, him fighting with the robot.
Yeah. And there was always some weird creature showing up, and it was
And I never understood how they go from planet to planet, but they couldn't get back to Earth.
exactly. Yeah, well, it's called the script writer.
Yes.
Yeah. But also, keep going. They did a new Charlie's Angels. They did a new One Day at a Time, The Odd Couple, Will and Grace, Dynasty, Melrose Place, Hawaii Five-0, MacGyver. They've
Crazy.
just gone back and back and back.
They're just
and
void of any new ideas.
which segues into, I just saw Scream 7. And you have to ask yourself, after 6 movies, didn't we know enough about this horror franchise?
No kidding.
We had to do a 7th one.
How did they keep that alive?
By
No pun intended.
Look, I went to see it last night so I could do my review.
Yeah.
Place was packed.
Really?
That's how they keep it alive.
Wow.
It's a money maker, and it probably they're going to need to make a little more. Nev Campbell, who starred in the first Scream movies, didn't do 5 and 6 because they didn't pay her enough.
Right.
She's back, so obviously they're paying her enough. But again, it's one of those. It's the whole idea that there's instant recognition. With these TV shows, if you're redoing Lost in Space, your mind's going to go immediately to the Robinson family, the robot, danger. Well, you've got an idea of what's coming. Now, they could go in a completely different direction, but they've at least got that lure. It's that bobbing thing in the water when you're fishing, it's like, oh, there it is. And the same thing with movies. I mean, this film could have, you could have just taken away the Ghostface character and called it Killing People. and it would have been a mediocre horror film.
Right.
But it's that franchise.
Scream,
We got to keep it
yeah.
going. Yeah. So, and the problem is, it's directed by and written by the guy who created the Scream franchise, Kevin Williamson. So you think he'd have a good idea of how to keep things going, but the first Scream was poked so much fun at the genre.
Right.
All the tropes. We've seen all this before. Now it's just sort of a spoof of itself.
Yeah.
And that's what I find with these, when they do these remakes, it's like some try to be the same, but it's like the Rockford Files. I don't care who you cast in that. You're never going to find a Jay.
This is the show.
He
Jim
was
Garner.
Rockford.
Yes.
Yeah. And so trying to reproduce, you can take the name, you can take the idea, all that, have them drive the same car. I don't care. But you're never going to get that same feel that you get with certain actors we always talk about Indiana Jones, how, Harrison, we can't think of anybody else but Harrison Ford. Originally, it was supposed to be Tom Selleck. That's who they wanted.
That would have worked.
Maybe.
Do you think? No?
I don't know. But I'm just saying I have a problem thinking of anybody else but Harrison Ford in that role.
Right.
But again, I think there are certain actors who are so, would you try to do All in the Family again?
No.
Well, first off, you couldn't.
Well, they've tried. They did those live shows.
Yeah, but that
where
was
they made
just
it a black black family,
same
with
script.
Jamie Foxx,
and it was more about the gimmick.
Yeah, and then they did it again with Woody Harrelson as the lead, and it was just
But
it was about as dumb a thing as I've ever seen.
You couldn't do a modern day version of all that.
No, because they openly use the N word and they openly use the H word.
Right. And again, I'm not going to
Like on the regular.
Yeah. And I don't want to say I'm justifying the use of that word, but at that time it made sense.
It did.
You know,
Did.
it was like, if you're going to kick somebody in the teeth, kick them in the teeth. Don't,
Yeah.
you know, don't swing at them. And so, but you can do that now.
No.
And, you know, even if you tried to do it on a streaming service, I don't think it would work.
No.
So,
And-
but original ideas are just dead and gone.
Yeah, they absolutely are. I got a topic that I wanted to bring up with you today.
I'm done.
David Ellison and his group is apparently going to win, their group at Paramount, the Warner Brothers and Discovery battle with Netflix. They upped the ante and Netflix has backed out. And now people are, because it remotely hits Trump, so their hair's on fire. Because David Ellison's father, Larry Ellison, is close to Trump. And with this purchase, Ellison, who used to be the head of Skydance, now effectively be ahead of, if the purchase goes through, CNN, CBS, Paramount Plus, HBO, Discovery, and TNT.
Yeah.
And even I, because at first I was like, well, what's the big deal? And I was like, they're going to control CBS and CNN? Wait a second now.
And again, I think CBS has already given up.
Oh, they've knelt. They've knelt to the king.
Yeah.
They've kissed the ring.
Yeah. And again, I don't want this to sound political. I just feel like the news media really does need that, to be that voice that is not under somebody's thumb. We need a voice that can stand up and say this is wrong or this is right. You know, if a politician does something great, we should herald it. If they do something wrong, we should call them on it.
Are we past that era?
We are.
Nationally speaking, I think locally, that's where news is good.
Well,
locally.
And that's why local news will survive.
Yes.
Because,
but on the national level, it's Democratic news and it's Republican news.
And even to some degree, I think local news is cautious. I mean, I don't think maybe they'll go too far with taking, too many sides on the news angle, but they at least will try to be fair and balanced.
Yeah.
As much as you can, because we're all humans. But I do not like the idea of this sort of, there's so little to counterbalance the Fox coverage out there. And CNN was at least that. Once that's gone, because CBS is gone. And, so what's going to happen then? Is ABC and NBC going to be your flag bearers? And no, I think the same sort of pressure from the SEC is going to start hitting them. Yeah, we're going to see. I think the era of nighttime talk shows dead.
Yeah. I
think once Colbert goes off, that's the first domino.
Yep. And then Kimmel's next. Fallon will go last because he's the least political.
Yeah, he's at least tried to do the song and dance that keeps him on the air. But also, I think those are the areas where I think stations are going to go, that's a lot of money we're losing. And the whole philosophy of nighttime television doesn't work anymore.
No, because the production is just too vast.
Well,
what does Kimmel have? A staff of like 125 people?
Exactly. But the other thing we talked about before is there was a time when we went to bed, we watched Carson, we turned the TV off. So they knew the next morning when you turned the TV on, it was NBC that was on.
Right.
It was their way of trying to keep you on their network.
And then they even tried to keep you longer, because I used to, even as a kid, I would stay up till 2 a.m. or try. I could get through like 20 minutes of Tomorrow with Tom Snyder. It came on right after Johnny.
Yeah. But the idea was to keep you on their station.
Exactly.
Now with streaming services and all that sort of stuff, people, as soon as they get up, they're going to go immediately to whatever morning local news
their phone, most likely, or their morning news.
I do some work with local television, but the first thing I do when I wake up is check my phone.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
What is the top story that's being talked about, so I can be prepared that what celebrity died. I mean, that's morbid, but that's I'm the guy they call when Robert Duvall dies. Let's talk about so, and that's fine. But I'm just saying the whole main purpose when we started nighttime television is no longer needed.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to cut costs, I think that's a place, you just start rerunning, episodes of NCIS.
I was going to ask you, what would they fill it with? That hour and a half.
They would
11:30 to 1
probably,
a.m.
well, they'd probably take the first hour and fill it with rerun-ish type things, or sort of low production programming. Get some host stuff from San Antonio that comes on and talks about, Christmas cards or some weird thing. But then after that, it will all go to commercials. Go to those long form. My pillow is now worth you buy.
Yeah, you're right.
And so that's
sad.
But I keep saying this, it's all about the money. It's not about creativity anymore. It never really was, but we at least hid behind it for a long time.
Yeah.
Now it's all about the money.
Yeah. And Johnny just made money rain on NBC.
Oh,
He was absolutely untouchable.
Yeah.
Even Jay Leno. And I was never a fan of Jay Leno, but even Leno had, them up to their necks in money.
Yeah.
And then it turned.
Well, you also have to look at when was the era when Leno got done? When did streaming services begin to come around?
Right at the end of his career.
Yeah, because you were already being battled by the premium channels like HBO and Showtime. But then once you got the streaming services, I like to watch the nighttime television just to see their monologues. The last time I watched one live, I get up in the morning and I will watch all three, the local, the national talk shows, watch the monologue, and then because I can get it on, through my apps, Paramount Plus and Hulu and all that sort of stuff. So I don't have to watch, and streaming services has changed the way we watch television.
Yeah. Is Ellison going to get away with this purchase? Are they going to kind of not only dominate news, but they're going to have Paramount Plus, HBO, TNT, and Discovery under their umbrella?
Who's going to block it?
Certainly not the Trump administration.
Exactly. Unless there's some major lawsuit that ties us up in courts for another 3 years.
That's what I'm guessing. That's
I would
exactly
say
what I'm guessing.
If things move forward, and I have a feeling they're going to move very fast, I don't see anybody who'll stand in their way.
I think the Democrats will try.
They've tried with a lot of stuff.
Yes, they have.
How much success have they had?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and again, that's not the default of Democrats. It's just look what's going on. The whole thing with I always thought the FCC's job was to make sure that you and I didn't start saying words other than melon farmer.
Right.
We had to be careful what we taught. But now the FCC is telling you, well, you need to show more patriotic television. Wait a minute, is that the job of the FCC?
No, it is not.
No, you have to remember those TV stations are a business. And if they could put on, a monkey singing an opera, and if it would get 15 million viewers, they would put on a whole series of monkey singing opera.
Yeah.
It's all about money.
Yeah. I'm going to leave you with this. What do you think of celebrities getting involved in politics? We got some audio we're going to play later. Cardi B supporting Jasmine Crockett down in Texas. And I thought Kamala tried. She had Beyonce. She had everybody coming out. Nicki Minaj is now in the Trump camp. What do you think all these celebrities get involved? Does it have any impact on how people vote, in your opinion?
Bottom line, everybody has the right to support whoever they want to.
Sure.
So whether you're a celebrity or whatever, you have that right. I think the backfire part of that is if you like I'm going to take Cardi B because you mentioned her. Okay, I'm not picking on her, but I'm just saying, if you like Cardi B, okay, I like that she supports Trump. If you do not like Cardi B, you are definitely not going. You're shying away. So you could have just as much of a negative effect as the positive effect that you're trying to have. And that's the thing. You have to be very careful about who the celebrity is. And so
I think they're smart to stay out of it. Cardi B doesn't care because I don't think it'll impact her, but I think Taylor Swift has been really smart staying out of that thing. And it always reminds me of Michael Jeffrey Jordan, who when Harvey Gantt, an African-American, back when Torrance and I were kids, was running against Jesse Helms, a well-noted bigot down in North Carolina. Well-known bigot. And Harvey Gantt was a brother. And Jordan would not endorse him. And they asked him why. You're certainly a Democrat, I would assume, and you certainly would like to see a brother in the United States Senate. And he said, Republicans buy tennis shoes too.
Exactly.
And he said, I'm out. My name is Bennett and I ain't in it.
Yeah. I think somebody has every right to sit at home and talk about it or talk with friends. But yeah, you're right. It shouldn't have any more weight than you and I,
No.
but it did.
And I think Kamala Harris showed that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not going to take you over the goal line.
No.
You know, it really doesn't. Appreciate your time, everybody.
Always glad to be here.
Rick Bentley, KGET entertainment reporter. We headed to the 4 o'clock. Will there be a conflict in Iran over the weekend? Get into the aforementioned Texas Senate primary going on. I told you they had early balloting. Well, it ends today. This is how weird Texas votes. They vote for 2 weeks, then they stop it on Friday, today, and then the primary is Tuesday. Quick time out. We're coming right back. Don't go anywhere. Say what?
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
John
News
Kennedy
this hour from
spinning
Town
the
Hall.
train.
I'm Keith Peters
And he only pulled
in
it off. He'd still be alive.
President Trump has suggested
He'd still
the
be
U.S.
alive
could
if he
carry
got
out
the
a
Bob
friendly
back into
takeover
Cuba.
of Cuba as tensions
really
between
would be. Bobby
Washington
would
and
be alive.
Havana reach a new
Never been to
high.
Watergate.
President Trump
Perhaps no,
suggests that after decades,
Vietnam.
Cuba could be on the brink of change.
We've had a lot of years of dealing with Cuba. I've been hearing about Cuba since I'm a little boy, but they're in big trouble, and
down there, and
we could very well something good. I think very positive for the people that were expelled or worse from Cuba that live here. You know, we have people living here that want to go back to Cuba, and they're very happy with what's going on.
It's been
Always good to see you,
67
sir.
years
Appreciate
since took control of the island and instituted
from
communism
the east?
there.
Outstanding.
Bill Clinton says he did nothing wrong with
All right,
Jeffrey
very good.
Epstein as
Thank
he
you.
faces grilling
We'll
over
see ya.
their.
Former Secretary of State and former First Lady Hillary Clinton testified yesterday. James Comer is the committee chair.
Ms. Clinton deferred a lot of questions to her husband today. We already had a big portfolio of questions for him, and that increased yesterday.
Robert Garcia is the top Democrat on the committee. He wants to hear from President Trump.
Next to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, President to answer questions about why files are missing.
Today's hearing is behind closed doors.
Senator John Cornyn has joined President Trump for his flight to Texas. The Republican president plans to talk Friday about his energy and economic policies, but the red-hot Senate Republican primary race featuring Cornyn, State Attorney General and Representative Wesley Hunt may overshadow Trump's message. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 521 points. More at townhall.com.
The U.S. dollar is under pressure, and some analysts are openly warning about the long-term stability of U.S. currency dominance. Whether you call it currency debasement or the collapse of the dollar, the risk is real. And when confidence in the U.S. dollar shifts, gold and silver historically respond. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000 to get your free gold investment kit. You'll also receive a copy of Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000.
Logan Fury did something smart. He saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. With that money, he bought a mini treadmill. Is walking on it during video conference calls more distracting than he thought? He overestimated his foot-eye coordination. But it's Logan's savings, and if he wants to burn calories and any chance at a promotion, we say, good for you, Logan. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Insurance company and affiliates.
From the KERN and AM 1180 KERN.
They call it the market. I'm Chris Davis, but steps are now being taken to demote the flea market.
Everybody's there. I'm like, what? What's going
Drive
on?
in South Market, Bakersfield, to being as small as the police can make. So Sunday they conducted an enforcement operation out there, giving out tickets and warning the unlawful vendors that they will be back. Complaints about trash left behind, traffic, and issues have been plentiful.
You have no idea.
74-year-old Domingo Trevino's life was cut short at a group home by the man police say may have been schizophrenic and kicked the man to death with steel-toed boots, even saying that he was the most powerful man in the world, which was all video. But ill as Jason Garibay may have been, that earns him no favor in the eyes of the court, which sentenced him Thursday to 25 years to life. If you know where 24-year-old Salvador Daniel Gutierrez is, Bakersfield police would appreciate a call. 34-year-old Justin Leon Randall of Bakersfield was killed in Gutierrez is the man police believe partially responded. Randall was beaten to death, and that Gutierrez had a partner, Alberto Felix, who is already facing charges of that killing. Gutierrez is 5'11" with black and brown eyes. No arrests have been made yet, but Bakersfield PD says it's been determined that Chester Nimitz Street near Panama Lane, Pioneer Drive near the Golden Valley High School campus on Hosking Avenue, in which 40-year-old Francis come deal that did not go as planned. Police are asking anyone may have. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KE.
Close like this. You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on
I got it. Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
KERN. Hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it. Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this Friday, 27th day of February. It is the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at KERNradio.com. We still got lots to do. We'll get into the Iranian situation at the bottom of the hour. Coming up at 5, we're headed up to Big Bear Valley. We're going to talk with Jenny Borson, who is one of the representatives for the Friends of Big Bear Valley. They're the group that's got that camera mounted up there that is focusing on our favorite couple, Jackie and Shadow, a pair of bald eagles who have had. Have we kept count on how many successful eagles they have hatched?
Not gonna lie to you, I haven't.
I think it's like 5, maybe. Gizmo and I don't know.
Sure. Their
last 2 were eaten by ravens. That's why I keep panicking every time 17 shows the shot and Jackie and Shadow aren't on the nest. But we'll talk with Jenny in the 5 and wrap up Black History Month moment with another Morehouse man. Tell you about the life and times of Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr., a young man out of Beaufort, South Carolina that graduated from high school at the age of 16. And by the time he was 20 years old, he had a big-headed, freckle-faced baby and was on his way to Meharry Medical College. And as you guys know, I always talk about the only way I could ever really get at my dad was to just bring that topic up. That's all I had to do. Say, Pop, yeah, let me get this straight. And he would know where I was going. So you're 20 years old, living in Graves Hall, and you're on your way to Meharry Medical School in Nashville. And you and Mom decide to get married and have a baby, huh? That's right. 20 years old, huh? Going to med school, and you had me sleeping in a drawer. His mom's told me the stories, and you figured that'd be a good idea. That was the plan, huh? What are you trying to say, boy? I'm just saying, Pop. Somebody might have had a shotgun in your kidneys. That's not funny. He would start to get angry, and I'd kind of let it go. You know how you can take it so far, and then he gives you the look that means, all right, you've pushed,
shut up now.
Yeah, you've pushed the envelope now, and if your jaw drops one more time, I'm gonna slap it. Go ahead, try me. I'd be like, I'm just asking questions, Pop. Just asking questions. I'd walk out the room. In the meantime, they're voting today in Texas for the final time, which is crazy. This is the way they do it. They pre-vote for 2 weeks. It stops today, 96 hours before Tuesday. Then they vote again on Tuesday. Yeah, I don't get it, but that's the way they do it in Texas. And it's a fascinating situation that's going on because Texas is a red state. It's a Republican state. They haven't had a Democrat represent the state of Texas in the Senate since Lloyd Benson. And that goes back to when Torrance and I were in college. Lloyd Benson was Mike Dukakis's vice presidential candidate. I told you I got for the Sentinel in '88 because of my roots in Atlanta and having been in Atlanta for 4 years at Morehouse. And I was the senior political reporter for the LA Sentinel at the time and got to talk with Lloyd Benson. I didn't think of really interviewing him because I was working for a black newspaper and my focus was on Jesse Jackson and the tripod that he had created. Because if you remember, and we talked about this constantly, 88 convention, Jackson's 84 attempt was null and void. It got nowhere off the ground because, as you remember, he called, and this is a horrendous term, so I'm quoting Reverend Jackson, he called New York Hymietown, which is another phrase for, it's an anti-Semitic term for Jews. And he got caught on a hot mic, and that killed the 84 campaign. By 87, they pretty much forgot about it. He tried again and won some primaries and had delegates going to Atlanta, meaning that if he walked out and said, I'm taking my 350, 400 delegates, whatever the number was back then, Dukakis can't get to 1190 or 1230, whatever the nominating number was. So they had to deal with Jesse. And I've told you this story as well. When I went to Atlanta, it was the very same day I met Shirley Ralph, which is a whole nother story. I'm not gonna get off the freeway. But I was having breakfast at the Hilton. And I was in a booth with a friend of mine, Mike Davis, who was Maxine Waters' chief of staff. And in the next booth was, again, you got to be over 55 to remember Ed Koch, but he wasn't at the time, but he was a powerful politician and a very powerful Democrat. And they were discussing how to deal with Jesse Jackson. And so, quite naturally, I'm like, be quiet, Mike, be quiet. I'm eavesdropping. And I distinctly and vividly remember and heard him say, Mayor Ed Koch, don't worry about Jackson. If you coddle this guy, he's going to dominate the Democratic Party. Just ignore him. Where are they going? And this is the phrase that I will never forget. Where are they going to go? Where are black folks going to go? They're going to vote for George Bush? No. Just ignore Jackson, and at the 11th hour, he'll commit his delegates to Dukakis, and there won't be any problem. Well, it wasn't that simple. And that's what I wrote about, because I've told you the story how I, through Mike Davis, got an interview with Jesse Jackson, but my managing editor took my notes and wrote the story herself. So my story was, how is the Democratic Party dealing with Jesse Jackson and his 400 or so delegates? But what's forming up in Texas way is you've got a incumbent who's been there for 24 years, 4 different 6-year terms, who's in deep trouble. Then you've got Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, but is damaged goods. He's had an affair, allegedly, and not only did he have a cheat on his wife, according to some reports, but he cheated on his wife with a married woman. So he not only destroyed his marriage, but he's in the process of destroying their marriage. And Republicans are scared to death that he's going to win that nomination because they believe that Tellerico or maybe even Jasmine Crockett could beat him with all this baggage. Now, they're saying if Cornyn wins, they wouldn't even have to spend money in Texas. It would be a slam dunk. But he's losing. I think the last numbers were, let me see if I can find this in my notes. Very, very close. Please say I wrote it down. Yeah, 32% for Paxton, 29.3% for the incumbent, John Cornyn. And look out for Wesley Hunt, an African-American Republican military cat who is from a father who was in the military and a grandfather who was in the military. His brothers and sisters are in the military. And you can tell every time he talks, he is a straight down the line military cat, and he's Republican. He's got 21.3. So Cornyn is just 8 points ahead of Wesley Hunt. He might even not even be in the primary if nobody gets a majority. And at 32%, it doesn't look like anybody's going to get the majority. So the top 2 will run off again to see who will face either Jasmine Crockett or James Tellerico. Now, throughout this entire campaign, Jasmine Crockett has been beating the crap out of Tellerico. That was until the Stephen Colbert nonsense. Well, Colbert had him on the show. CBS, as Rick Bentley said, who has been kneeling to the FCC and the Trump administration, kind of sent a shot across the bow about equal time. So CBS said, you can't, no, I almost lied. CBS didn't say you can't run the James Tellerico interview. What CBS told Colbert was, run it. Just have Crockett on afterwards. Not the same show, not the same week. Just schedule her so you can say, and later we're going to have his opponent, Jasmine Crockett. And instead, Colbert, which is brilliant. If you're trying to bring attention to yourself, what he did was brilliant, if that's your goal. If your goal is to be a fair participant in democracy, you simply say, of course I will, because that just makes sense. That's just fair. It's not objective, because he clearly wants Tellerico. And as I told you as a former reporter, there's no such thing as objectivity. There's no such thing. The only thing a really good reporter can do is be fair and present both sides. You've heard this. There are three sides of the story. This person's side, that person's side, and then the accurate truth. And the only thing a really good reporter can do is try to present all three sides. That's all you can do. There's no such thing as objectivity. If I'm in the newsroom and Mike Tri tells me to go cover the KKK meeting, am I objective? Hell to the nah. I hate everybody in that room, but I've got to present their argument. I've got to present their side. That's called being fair. But Colbert wasn't concerned with that. Colbert was concerned with Colbert. I'm leaving in May. I want to spit in the eye of the Columbia Broadcasting System. Here you go. I'll put it on YouTube. And I got 6 million views. And within 24 hours, James Tellerico raised $2.5 million. And as I said, again, the night after that happened, on 8 points is going to beat Jasmine Crockett. Much to our chagrin if you're a Republican, because Crockett is a cartoon character that either Cronin, Wesley Hunt, or Paxton would beat easily. Although Republicans are fearful for Paxton. And now, as I mentioned, Cardi B, of all people, I almost said Steph Curry. Don't tell me. Stephon Diggs' newest baby mama, because he got 5. Diggs has got 5 baby mamas. Like, how is that possible? Seriously. After like your 3rd baby mama, don't you like just contemplate a condom? No? STDs, chlamydia, gonorrhea, HIV? No? Okay. Whatever, whoever. Ugh. But anyway, she is now supporting Jasmine Crockett, which I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing, but here's Cardi B.
If you want somebody that's going to fight for your right, if you want somebody to fight for your community, if you want somebody that's going to go out there and represent you and represent your issues, please vote for my sister Jasmine Crockett. Because one thing about it, she's going to fight her best. She's going to fight whoever she has to, so your voice and your problems could be heard. Vote right now. This counts so much. Vote right now.
Well, I agree with her in the last 3 words that she said. Go vote. That's true, but this doesn't help Jasmine Crockett. It might even hurt her. The reason you say, well, Ralph, why are you talking about a Texas Senate race? Because Republicans are panicked. First of all, as I've chronicled to you for weeks now, there was a special election in a totally red district that Donald Trump carried by 17 points, and a Democrat won by 14 points. That's enough to set your hair on fire right there. A 31-point swing. A Democrat won a district that Trump carried. B, Trump carried the state of Texas by 14 points. But as I've told you, Texas has a weird way of voting where they've been voting in this primary now for 2 weeks. It stops at about 45 minutes, 8 o'clock. Well, no, they're in Central Time. It stops in 3 hours. Wait, what time is it? It's 6 o'clock, so it stops in 2 hours. It's 6:18 in Dallas right now. So it stops in most parts of Texas. Because is all of Texas in Central?
I believe so.
Is Tyler in Central? Is East Texas? I think it is. I think, like, is El Paso on Central? Yeah, they are, because Arizona's on. No. I don't know. I just know Dallas. I don't know about East Texas, Tyler, and El Paso, West Texas. Everybody, they're all on.
All of East Texas is on Central Time.
Okay. So they're going to down here in a couple of hours. And thus far, in the 2 weeks of that, because again, it shuts down tonight, and then they start voting again Tuesday morning. and then the general election, obviously, in November. 100,000 more Democrats have voted than Republicans. Republicans are panicked. Because if somebody can win a congressional district that Trump carried by 17 points, they could carry the state that Trump carried by 14 points. And John Thune, the majority leader in the Senate, said this, and he's not Mr. Optimistic. Honestly, if you look at the polling in a general election setting, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that the seat flips depending on who the Democrats nominate. Meaning, if they nominate Jasmine Crockett, put away the war chest, we're not concerned. She's a cartoon character. We listen to the Ralph Bailey show. He's exactly right. She's a joke. She tries to portray herself as kind of a ghetto girl when she went to private school outside of the state of Texas. She went to private college, or she comes from affluence. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't be ashamed. You should be proud of that. I went to private school, damn proud of it. Only way I got to Morehouse College. But you don't hear me trying to play like I grew up in South Central, even though I worked in South Central. You don't hear me trying to speak ethnically, although I do on occasion on purpose, but not to get elected. And you've heard me play the audio of her and this and damn and just having verb agreement issues that she knows better than, but is trying to talk down to black folks. She'd be an easy mark. But again, with this incredible turnout by the Democrats thus far, who the hell knows? And that's why Trump is down there today. He's down in Corpus Christi, pumping up economy, talking about the Venezuelan oil that we have, et cetera, et cetera. And it's important to note that while John Cornyn, the incumbent, flew from D.C. to Corpus Christi with the president hasn't endorsed any of those guys. Not Hunt, not Paxton, or the incumbent Cornyn. And so I think Trump doesn't like to be associated with a loser. And even though Cornyn's only down 3%, less than 3 percentage points, and as we all know, there's a margin of error anywhere from 3 to 5 percentage points. I just think he wants to hedge his bet and wait for this thing to settle out. Because it's bizarre that he won't, because he could put Cornyn over the top if he wanted to. He absolutely could. Just run around the state of Texas with him. But it's a fascinating race, I think. And we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes. Let's all cross our fingers. And if you got relatives in Texas, tell them to vote for Jasmine Crockett. Would love to see that girl on the ticket. Take a quick time out. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Bottom of the hour, we'll talk about the Iranian situation. You'll hear from General Jack Keaton on what he thinks is going to happen. He's like me. He thinks conflict with Iran is inevitable. In fact, he goes even further. You'll hear from him as well as the president, who addressed the media before he got on Air Force One, headed down to Corpus Christi. Ben in the 5, we'll talk about Jackie and Shadow, the Eagles up in Big Bear Valley. We'll talk with Jenny Boyson. And our Black History Month moment falls on Morehouse Man, Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr., another Graves Hall resident. It's a Morehouse show today on the Ralph Bailey Jr. show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and
Yeah, adaptive.
The JR Show, weekdays at.
Also, I think the general's name is Keen.
What is it?
Keen.
Keen?
Keane.
People calling 911 because, well, she's from Bakersfield. Which leads me to my other question. Who in the hell still calls 911 in this community? Expecting somebody's going to actually show up to your 911 call. Let's just be real.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
The Kern Radio studios are powered by, for those that are viewing, Adaptive Networks. For all your IT needs, call Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638 or hit them online at adaptive-net.com. Business owners, how many times have you called your IT company and felt like you're just another ticket number? Well, at Adaptive Network, exceptional customer service isn't just a promise, it's how they do business every single day. And nobody knows that better than the folks here at American General Media, because we're a client of Adaptive Networks. We hooked up with Adaptive Networks because of their precise and extreme, expedited ability to come and solve our problems. Because the radio station, if our IT goes down, you hear nothing and we're out of business. So when you call, you're going to actually talk to a real person who knows your name, understands your business, and generally cares about solving your problems. No phone trees, no run around, no attitude. It's just pure professionalism. Again, that's why we've teamed up with them. Call them today, 661-241-0638. That's 241-0638, or him online at adaptive-net.com.
And we're back. Rob and Bob here once again for California Fruit Depot. Bob seems to be laughing. This is a commercial. We only have 60 seconds.
Okay.
We need to sell citrus
and nuts.
Dates, nuts, dried fruits. We need to tell people where we are as if they can't do it by Google. And if you don't know where we are by now,
you're not listening enough.
You're really not listening.
Get in your car, drive around, and
Here's
listen.
something that you're going to pay attention to. I would like to, and I hate to get political, I would like to merge Kern County with San Luis Obispo County.
That's a great idea.
We can do a lot with it.
What took you so long?
They can use our resources. We can use their resources.
Oceanfront property for us.
Listen, oil, ag, and beach. Moving on, we need a tag phrase at the California Fruit Depot.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The one we've been using is, it's just like Disney, but with only citrus.
I think it's too complicated, way too long.
And the cease and desist letters are stacking up high. Enough about this foolishness. Depot, come on out to Edison and say hi.
I mean, what a pro.
Life with smart business buying tools and technology from Amazon Business. From fast, free shipping to in-depth buying insights and automated purchase approvals, we deliver everything you need to achieve your goals. Go to AmazonBusiness.com for support.
Even if you've given up on your New Year's resolutions, one health habit that's easy to keep is Active Liver from New Nordic. Active Liver protects your liver so you can enjoy life to the fullest. Online at Amazon, in stores at CVS, Walgreens, and now GNC.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You know what I wish? I wish that if you all in the chat room had the temerity to write something outrageous, that you'd at least have the courage to call into the show and try to explain yourself and defend your statement. Somebody in the chat room said that Rick was crazy and that the NBC affiliate here, run by Derek Jeffries and Mike Trahi, two of the finest men I know, and Mike Trahi, one of the best journalists I've ever met, was kind of a mentor to me at the Californian before they wrongfully fired him. He sued them and won. And while he was in television, when I was in television, he was the assistant news director at 23 when I first got into television. And not a finer journalist will you find. And somebody in the chat room said that Rick was nuts and that NBC is biased. Biased for what? Explain yourself. Biased toward who? Toward Republicans? Explain yourself. And they've got a whole new crop of reporters now, which I'm not too familiar with, but have you not examined where KGET reporters end up? Do you remember Moses Smalls, the black guy, the deep, dark black guy with a real deep voice? He's now on MSNBC or MSN Now. He's on a national level inside of 3 or 4 years of his career. There's another kid, Danny something, who's the CNN correspondent for the state of Pennsylvania. Eitan Wallace is the main guy in Sacramento. Jenny Ha just joined him at another station in Sacramento. And everybody thinks that there's something going on at 17 because there's so much turnover. It's because Trahi and Jeffrey hire talented reporters that can shake the dust off this small market. Had to select my words carefully there, and get the hell out of here. And I love Mike Hart, and 23 does a wonderful job. KBAK is not watchable, but 17 is about as fair as it's going to get. It's about as objective. Like, who's biased? Jim Scott, one of the finest journalists I've ever met. Tammy Melchak, who I first met when she first got into television. I was a weekend anchor. when she was one of our reporters at 23? No, sir, you have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what you do for a living, but I certainly don't think Mr. Trahey would try to assess how you do your job. So I suggest you not try to gauge how journalists do theirs, since you have no idea. You can't even spell journalism, but yet you can get into a chat room in your mama's basement and say that Rick Bentley's crazy, that NBC affiliate is somehow prejudiced. You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Quick timeout. We head into the 4:30 hour. Will there be a confrontation with Iran? You'll hear from the president and General Keane when we come back.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Democrats say former President Bill Clinton has tried to answer every question during his deposition over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. The closed after more than 6 hours of questioning from lawmakers who said he answered every question posed to him. Clinton tells members of Congress he did nothing wrong and saw no signs of Epstein's sexual abuse. President Trump made a decision on who to endorse in Texas's heated Republican Senate primary, but he still refuses to name his pick publicly. On Friday in Corpus Christi, Texas, he praised the three, Ken Paxton, John Cornyn, and Wesley Hunt, in the same speech. He also repeated his main campaign theme on the economy, energy, and security. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN News Update on News Talk 96 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. 25-year to life sentence has been handed down to 31-year-old Jason Garibay, a man who stomped to death 74-year-old Domingo Trevino at a group home in the parking lot June 2nd. The court to sentence Garibay on a manslaughter charge but the judge threw the book at him instead. The Casa Loma flea market's days may be numbered, and the writing on the wall is the enforcement action that law enforcement and the city's, where they found 27 vendors out there. They property. Several tickets were handed out. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
This is McGruff the Crime Dog, and I need you to help me take a bite out of crime. Products are popping up everywhere. Fake sneakers, fake cosmetics, pills. Crooks are selling counterfeit versions of just about everything. Last year, billions of dollars worth of counterfeit products were sold in the U.S. Sure, it may seem like saving a few bucks on the things you want isn't a big deal, but counterfeits are usually made in unsafe conditions, potentially using hazardous and even lethal ingredients that could harm you and others. And the money you've paid, it goes right into the hands of criminals and may support child labor, drugs, and even gangs. Smells like big crime to me. If you still think buying fake products is harmless, think again. And remember, you don't know where the products came from. How could you know where the money goes? You're smart, buy smart. Go for real. Learn more at mcgruffpsa.org. To you by the United States Patent and Trademark Office and the National Crime Prevention
Central
Council.
Coast is starting to feel like the motherland. It's time to dust off those clubs.
At CentralCoastGolfCart.com, 11 premier California golf experiences are just $125. Greens, ocean breezes, and the best golf landscapes in the state for the rest of the year. Why pay full price when you could play more and save more? Visit CoastGolfCart.com today and start swinging into spring.
CentralCoastGolfCart.com. More golf, less green.
You're listening to the Ralph Bailey Show, day morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Koch, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
842-537-6842 KERN. What do you guys have to say? You guys think NBC, the local affiliate, is biased? And I don't know which way he's claiming they're biased. Are they liberal? Or are they biased towards conservatives? Black folks? Asians? Latinos? White people? Who do they favor? I'm just curious. Your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? 842-5376, 842-KERN. Who you got?
Nathan.
Nathan, you're on the Ralph Bailey Show.
Hey, Ralph. Hey, so I will say that whoever commented on YouTube, I disagree with the journalism, like on the TV side, but I will say that the social media, at least on Facebook, definitely comes off slanted. Whether it be Democrat or Republican, it's very anti-Trump. Is the way it feels.
The KGET Facebook?
Facebook, yeah.
Like, give me an example. They're anti-Trump?
Well, that's the way every single article that comes across my Facebook is just always incredibly negative. I've never seen a positive about the administration. My favorite news station to watch.
Right.
But just the social media side of it, hands down, comes off slanted, at least anti-Trump. It seems like it's always negative about the administration.
Have you ever called the station and told them that?
No, because I don't care that much. I don't pay that much attention to Facebook. I like reading the comments that people lose their minds over. But
Yeah. The comment, and they make a comment. I'm like, oh, why did I go down this rabbit?
I'm not that foolish.
Yeah, I know. I'm an idiot. But at least you're honest that you're not enough to pick up the phone call. Well, I'm gonna have to check that out. All right, I'll start paying attention. I really, like you, I don't pay attention much to Facebook. I just post things for the show. But I'll definitely check that out. At least he had the courage of his conviction and came on the show and made his point. I admire that. Who else you got? Or is he still on the phone? You still on the phone? I'm sorry, I thought you hung up.
I'm hanging up.
Yeah, at least you had the balls to come on the show and tell us how you feel. Good for you.
Yeah, I got nothing else to do. I'm driving on the 5 from Vacaville. So
You doing it? You going to the prison?
no, I actually took a job up here. I moved out of Bakersfield. I just listen to you guys on the app now.
Oh, nice. Appreciate that. All right, man. Have a good weekend. Be safe.
You too.
All right, thanks. Ooh, look at this. Who do you think it is?
Honestly, I can't think of anybody.
Derek Jeffrey, head of the NBC affiliate. Let's see what Derek's talking about. I'm sure he's defending himself. 91% of FB stories are not written by KGET local journalists. Ooh, that's interesting to know. Who was that you just called?
Nathan.
Nathan, did you hear that? This is according to the general manager at KGET. 99% of Facebook stories, not in capital letters, written by KGET local journalists, feeds from Network, The Hill, etc. Nice catch, Derek. There goes your answer. What was his name again? Nathan? Nathan? Well, there's your answer, Nathan. There you go. But I would defend their journalism, as did Nathan. Thank you, Derek. I love DJ. What else you got? Anything on the board?
Just one more on this topic. It says KGET 17 is definitely not fair. Super liberal.
They're super liberal now. Wow. I just don't know what y'all are watching. Derek, any text message to that radio station, television station? It's clearly the number one station in this town and has been so for the last 30 years, as long as I've been here. 17. I was at 23. We hated 17. When I was at 29. We hated 17. Because every time the things would come out, they were kicking our behind. I don't know what you guys are watching. I really don't. I mean, I have criticisms of television news. There's DJ. I have criticisms of television news. I hate the jargon. And I brought this up, and I know Derek listens. I know he listens on occasion. Succumb to his injuries is just not a phrase that should be written. He died. He died. The suspect fled from the scene. The man ran from the cops. And I thought that's how they like specifically, because when I entered television, I was coming from the newspaper genre. And so they had to teach me how to write to television. I was like almost about to get fired the first 6 months into television because coming out of newspaper, I could not perceive the concept of writing to video. So I would be writing my story coming back from the event as opposed to watching the video and writing to what my photographer shot. Took me 6 months to figure that out. And part of it was stubbornness because I was like, I know the story better than he does, and I don't give a damn what he shot. I'm trying to tell a story here. No. It's a video medium, Ralph. You have to write to what he shot. Let's see what Mr. Jeffrey now says in defense of his fine television station. If it's local story, it's us. So never Trump stories written by us, hence local. Ooh, another backhand down the line for Derek Jeffries. I believe that's a winner. So if you see them talking about Trump, it's national stories. It's not local. They focus on local things. Anything else?
Let's see. Oh, now everybody's flowing in. If you follow KGET on Facebook, whoever runs the page is stirring bias or is a stirring the pot bias jerk, biased towards conservatives.
Well, what part of 99% of these stories are not written by KGT? Did you guys not understand? So 1% of those stories that you hate are written by local journalists. 1%. So that kind of puts the lid on it, does it not? What else you got? I don't even know why I'm entertaining these, but all right.
Maybe 99% of KGET stories are from other news outlets, but KGET chooses the stories to post, and they rarely post anything positive.
That's ridiculous. That's absurd. I don't know what you guys. Well, I mean, I'm considered a liberal by most conservative people in this town. So I guess you guys are living a life I don't see. Are there any more? Do we have to go through this?
No, that was the last one on that topic.
Yeah,
There's a couple more here.
I don't see what you guys see. I think they cover the state incredibly well because they've got Eitan Wallace up in Sacramento as kind of a correspondent. And I think that, like I said, there's a reason that there's a major turnover. But if you pay attention to national news, you will find KGT reporters all over the place. Like I said, Moses Smalls went from here to San Diego, which is our get. So you don't understand the whole game of television is why I just didn't want to do it and hated it. Because nights away from my mother in Los Angeles, I turned down a job in Jacksonville, Florida. I turned down a job in Tyler, Texas. And the whole point is to market jump. You're not going to make a living at 60 years old in this market. You're not going to have a job in this market at 50, 60 years old. So what you're trying to do in your 20s and 30s is market jump. Like Savannah Guthrie, for example, who started in her hometown of Tucson. She was a University of Arizona graduate, went to Georgetown, got a law degree, came back to her hometown where she knew she could get a job. She started her career. Now she's on NBC. And when she goes back on television, she's going to be the hottest on-air talent in America. That's the whole point. And the reason that you see, because I remember when Kevin and Maddie and Alex all left kind of similarly, everybody was talking on Facebook, everybody was talking on this show that there's something going on at Nexstar, there's something going on at KGT. Yeah, people getting better jobs. People have been in the business for 15 or 20 years. They want to move on. And the young reporters want to move up in the markets. And like I said, Moses Small is on MSN now. Guy Danny, Derek, do you remember Danny's last name? Is in Philadelphia covering the state of Pennsylvania for CNN. They've got national reporters all over the country. And to jump from a 150 market to go to, or 130, whatever we are, to go to San Diego or to go national is unheard of. And they're able to do that because they are tutored by veteran reporters like Jim Scott, like Bob Price, who I'm not a fan of, but I've never lied to you and said he's a bad reporter or a bad storyteller. And they're being tutored by these vets. Mike Trahi is one of the finest journalists you'll ever bump into in your life. And these young kids come in here raw. They get taught by these older reporters, these veteran people that have been doing it for 30, 40 years. And next thing you know, Moses Small is in San Diego. And then within another year, he's on MSN now on national television. Are you kidding? You think that's an accident? You see that happening on 23 or 29? Mr. Jeffrey, once again, and then we're going to drop this because I'm tired of talking about this. Freeman, Daniel Freeman is the kid you'll see on CNN. God bless him. Anyway, let's change the channel. I got to get into Iran. Let's go ahead and take a break. And we come back, we'll get into the Iranian situation. You'll hear from the president on his way to Corpus Christi, where he spent the day not campaigning for a specific candidate. There's a troika going on in the Republican Party down in Texas Way, which would normally be a slam dunk Senate race, but the longtime four-term senator, John Cornyn, is trailing the Attorney General. The Attorney General comes with baggage. And then there's Wesley Hunt, an African-American military man who's just off the pace that could decide drops out and throws his support to one of those two at the 11th hour, we could have a whole new race. And then, of course, you've got the cartoon character on the left, Miss Crockett, going up against James Tellerico, a guy who 3 weeks ago was trailing by 8 points, but a guy that I am guaranteeing you, Joe Namath style, Charles Barkley style, guarantee that James Tellerico is going to win that Democratic primary. Quick timeout. We're coming right back. We'll talk about Iran. Get to the top of the hour and head to Big Bear Valley. Talk with Jenny Boyson about our favorite couple, Jackie and Shadow, and their new egg. There's got to be a better term for that. Would-be child? Would-be eaglet? No? Just egg? Ralph, Ralph, aren't you the guy that says just talk plainly? Yeah. Egg. We'll talk with her. And then we wrap up Black History Month with the life and times of the greatest African-American I ever met, Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. That's all coming up on the Ralph Emerson Bailey Jr. show right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good
Who's Mike?
Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality
Oh, that's
medical
right. That's
detox,
right. I knew that.
psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and with one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com. 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
Last week, there was the Paul Sheldon sighting. Kind of exciting. Everyone asking, where has he been? Of course, his clients weren't worried about their Medicare, even when Paul in person wasn't there, because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. The grandkids like to play, where asking, hey, where'd Paul go? Just games. But when push comes to shove and the day is done, we know it's covered, so it's all in fun. Because there's Christine, Kelly, and Lynn. Over the years, so many have said it, the guy's a genius. He put it together way back then. Brought care pros, who of course by now everyone knows, are Christine, Kelly, and Lynn.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
My name is Ariel. When I arrived in the U.S. at 19, I struggled to find job opportunities without my high school diploma. My entire life changed when I took a chance and got my high school diploma at age 22. Everything I have, my education, my career, my marriage, I owe to the Adult Literacy Center and my teachers. They were with me every step of the way, helping with my I push through all the challenges.
Success proves that what I'm doing as a teacher has real meaning.
It was an honor helping you achieve your greatness. Now you're helping others achieve theirs. It inspires me.
Education was the key that unlocked all my opportunities.
When you graduate, they graduate. Find free and supportive adult education centers near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
All Americans should do what they can to prepare for the future. Donald Trump Jr. here with an important message. More and more Americans are looking for ways to diversify their hard-earned money, and gold is the perfect solution. For example, a gold IRA from my trusted friends at the Birch Gold Group lets you diversify your IRA or 401k into physical gold with zero taxes and zero penalties. You stay in control with a tangible asset held value for thousands of years. And right now, Birch Gold is offering a free info kit to help you understand how it works. Just text the word SECURE, SECURE, to 989898. There's no pressure, no obligation, just the facts. You can't predict the future, but you can be prepared, but only if you educate yourself. So take that first step right now. Text SECURE to the number 989898 today. That's SECURE to 989898.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show
on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I can't see.
So tired of the music. You want to start writing down some of the songs that I've written down?
No, because I'm just going to take a picture of it.
Tony, no, you can't read this.
I'm going to take a picture of it.
Believe me, you cannot read this. I can barely read this. Dude, do you understand this lays on my bed, which my second bed is like a desk. And I'll be watching television or I'll hear a song and I'll roll over and just kind of scribble it down. Like, you know how bad my writing is sitting at a desk. Imagine me lying on my back and seeing something on television. I grab a pen and just kind of scribble. That's why it's on the back of an envelope that I've never opened. What is this from? Dignity Health. No wonder I didn't open it. But Tony Bennett, I want to be around. DMC, it's tricky. I got some interesting ones on here. You want to hear the most one that'll make you laugh? Crazy. Who did Crazy?
Gnarls Barkley?
Gnarls Barkley. See, I couldn't even read Gnarls. G-N-A. Yeah, that is a G-N-A. What else I got? Mama Cass, Dream a Little Dream of Me. The Brady Bunch song. Some show theme songs. Mary Tyler Moore, Good Times, Mr. Ed, Addams Family. Chuck Berry, You Never Can Tell. Straight out of Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction. Can you name?
Honestly, with that one, no, I haven't watched that movie in a while. I need to actually watch that one.
It's the most iconic scene in the film, Chris. What does John Travolta do in every film that he's in?
Smoke a cigarette or dance?
Thank you, the latter.
It would probably be the dancing part then.
Be more specific, please.
And he's dancing with, oh God.
Ving Rhames' woman. I don't know her name either. But it's Ving Rhames' wife in the motion picture. That's Inga Barks. No, it's a Swedish name. Who is that? She's gorgeous. Uma Thurman. And that's when I love that song. And every time I hear it, I think of Quentin Tarantino. All right, I'm stalling. Because I got to get to this situation in Israel and in Iran, because I think this thing's going to get funky over the weekend. I really do. As you'll hear from Jack Keane, what's the point of moving the USS Gerald Ford, our largest aircraft carrier, and all these F-22s and all these planes in that section if you're not going to do anything? If you're just going to call, they're going to call our bluff. And like I said earlier in the week, I don't think it's going to be boots on the ground. I think it's going to be a surgical strike. I think one of the reasons that they've got the USS Gerald Ford in that area is to protect Israel, because Iran's first response will be to attack Israel. And meantime, the president spent the day in Corpus Christi involved with this Texas race. But before he left, getting on Marine One, he addressed the media. And Peter Ducey from Fox asked him, is there a risk of, if there is any type of strike, for this potentially to, blowing up in our faces?
I guess you could say there's always a risk. When there's war, there's a risk in anything, both good and bad. We've had tremendous luck with myself, Soleimani, al-Baghdadi. Everything's worked out, and then we do the Midnight Hammer and so many others. Everything's worked out, and we want to keep it that way. But we're going to see. Look, it'd be wonderful if they negotiate really in good conscience, good faith and conscience. But they are not getting there. So far.
No, they're not even close. And this is the only way to get the Iranians to the table, is through threat. They're the biggest exporter of violence and terrorism throughout the world. They're Israel's biggest threat, because Hamas essentially is a part of Iran. They're fall under the same umbrella. Here is General Jack Keane. He is oft contributor to Fox News, a former general, who says, why are we there if we're not going to go in?
Iran is vulnerable and weak, weaker than they've ever been in the 46-year history of the regime. Right now, today, that gives us up an opportunity to put in place a comprehensive joint operation with Israel to really set the conditions for a regime change. Now look at, President Trump is a peace president. There is no doubt about it, given what he's done over 13 months on resolving conflicts that were too challenging for others to resolve, and particularly the United Nations, which doesn't show up at all when it comes to peace. But here's the difference. This president is willing to use force to achieve a peaceful outcome. And I believe that is the path we are on right now.
Do you believe
and that would be a combined go ahead.
Do you believe there are some people within the administration that don't want to take the risk, and they say, well, there's a chance of casualties, there's a chance of Iraq War II type of outcome, and we shouldn't take the risk? Do you think that there's some of that friction in the Trump administration?
Yeah, certainly, and there usually is in any administration. There's always folks who are going to look at it and just focus on the negative, adverse consequences, and then that leads them to what? To do nothing, to do nothing here, and to give Iran another 10 years to impose their will on the region and continue to destabilize it. We've been with these guys almost 50 years now. Do we really want to do that when the vulnerability and weakness is right in front of us? The historic opportunity to stabilize this Middle East once and for all, to have the Abraham Accords kick in, and we already know those countries would be willing to do that.
All right, that's enough. Well, I apologize. What happens is I watch Fox News, and they'll take a bite, and they'll mesh it into one bite. So they'll cut out a lot. I didn't intend for that bite to be that long. About that before I sent this to Chris, and I should have made it aware to him, but take a 3-minute bite and they'll cut it in of it. And I hear it on television, and I only hear the 40 when in fact it was a 3-minute bite. That explains the length of that. But he made good sense. But you know, this is always, after Vietnam, this has always been a tough call, because A, if you get involved in something like this and it does spiral out of control and you do have to put boots on the ground, now all of a sudden you are a war president. And that is the last thing any and every president wants. Lyndon Johnson, despite the fact that there were rumors that he started Vietnam, that Kennedy was killed because the CIA wanted their Vietnam and that Kennedy was going to get rid of the CIA, no president wants to be a war president, because Lyndon Johnson thought he was a, you know, if you know history, he wanted to create the great society. He was going to go after the poor in a good way. He, you know, got my father and mother to be able to vote, gave us voting rights, gave us the civil rights legislation that was passed in the 60s. It would have never gotten passed in a second term under John Kennedy. Never in a million years. It would have been in the 70s when those civil rights legislations was passed had John Kennedy not died. But you saw what happened to Lyndon Johnson. His, you know, what seemed to be a slam dunk war ended up being a long, slug out, many body bags coming home. And it was a period in American journalism where literally, at least Walter Cronkite, I don't know about the other news agencies, but they would have a number. They would lead the news with what was going on in Vietnam. And over his shoulder, I forget what the term is, but over his shoulder would be a number. And that would be the number of American casualties that day. And they would do that 5 days a week. So it's no wonder that half the country was against this thing. All the young people were against it. And it did something that we really, I don't think, have ever seen. And that is an incumbent president not run for a second term. Because of the lateness of the assassination of Kennedy and the fact that Johnson only was president for about a year, he was eligible to run in 64 and he was eligible to run in 68, despite the fact that technically it's 3 terms. It was only 1 year in that third term. But he just didn't run because he had a bunch of liberal senators chomping at his heels that were against the war, i.e. Bobby Kennedy, Eugene McCarthy, who's the guy that cried? Edmund Muskie. And Johnson just said, to hell with it. I'm going back to Texas. When was the last time you saw an incumbent president not run for re-election? So to get involved with something like this, you've got to be prepared for the worst and hope for the best. But I think there is going to be some sort of conflict between the United States and Iran before we come back on Monday. Final hour of the broadcast. We're headed up to Big Bear Valley to talk about a pair of eagles. I'd stick around if I you.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Dog says it cannot verify that Iran has suspended uranium enrichment. Correspondent Donna Warder reports.
A confidential report from the International Atomic Energy Agency that was circulated to United Nations members says Iran is not allowing the IAEA to access nuclear facilities of a war in June. In the report seen by the Associated Press, the IAEA says it cannot verify whether Iran has suspended all enrichment-related activities or the size of Iran's uranium stockpile at facilities. I'm Donna Warder.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says Scouting America will alter several policies to maintain support from the U.S. military.
The changes include a requirement that members use biological sex at birth and not gender identity. Hegseth has criticized Scouting America's historic rebrand from the Boy Scouts and other changes in recent years that he considers part of woke culture. The organization in 2013 ended a ban on gay adult, announced in 2017 that it would accept transgenders. Rich Thomason reporting.
President Donald Trump says he's ordering all federal agencies to phase out use of Anthropic technology after the company's unusually public dispute with the Pentagon over artificial intelligence safety. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth also said he was designating Anthropic as a supply chain risk, a move that could prevent U.S. military vendors from working with the company. A down day on Wall Street with the Dow dropping 521 points, the S&P 500 lower by 30. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. Is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-738-2850. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify information, call 800-738-2850. 800-738-2856. 800-738-2856.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
They call it the Casa Loma Flea Market. I'm Chris Davis. But steps are now being taken to demote the flea market from a pretty big deal on the weekends on the corner of Casa Loma Drive and South Martin Luther King Boulevard in Southeast Bakersfield to being as small as the police can manage. So Sunday, they conducted an enforcement operation out there, giving out tickets and warning the unlawful vendors that they will be back. Complaints about trash left behind, traffic, and other issues have been. 74-year-old Domingo Trevino's life was cut short at a group home, and police say may have been schizophrenic and kicked the man to death with steel-toed boots, even saying that he was the most powerful man in the world, which was all caught on video. Jason Garibay may have been, that earns him no favor in the eyes of the court, which sentenced him Thursday to 25 years to life. If you know where 24-year-old Salvador Daniel Gutierrez is, Bakersfield police would appreciate a call. 34-year-old Justin Leon Randall of Bakersfield was killed in June of 2025 on H. Man police believe partially responsible. They say Randall was death, and that Gutierrez had a partner Alberto Felix, who is already facing charges in that killing. Gutierrez is 5'11", with black hair and brown eyes. No arrests have been made yet, but Bakersfield PD says it's been determined that the shootings that happened last week on Chester Nimitz Street near Panama Lane, Pioneer Drive, and near the Golden Valley High School campus on Hosking Avenue, in which 40-year-old Francis Camacho was killed, were all part of a drug deal that did not go as planned. Police are asking for any more info anyone may have. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
What do you think, this is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You gotta get a post like this. Bada bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio. Here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast, final hour of the week as we wrap up another 5 days of outstanding radio broadcasting right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we stream live and where you can watch us on YouTube and you can go back if you've missed a segment of the broadcast. Like, for example, we had Rick Bentley on at 3:30. If you'd like to go back and watch that interview, just go to YouTube, put in Ralph Bailey. Angela Barton told me she was having problems finding current shows. She said she went to YouTube and the earliest show she found was like January.
No, they're all there. You
I
just
know.
go to the live tab.
And then as soon as I got off the phone with her, I looked it up and I was like, oh, there I am. That was what I was wearing yesterday.
Maybe she just picked the wrong tab. She's looking in the front or something.
It has to be. It has to be. Still lots to do on the broadcast. We culminate Black History Month with the finest African-American I ever met, Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. I'll tell you how a young kid out of Beaufort, South Carolina made his way into the Navy and then Los Angeles and had a big-headed, freckle-faced boy and two girls, and the rest is history. And I got some other miscellaneous news. You hear from Val Demings, Florida Democrat, who I thought was a good woman. In fact, I thought she should have been Kamala Harris, but she had some horrible things to say. They talked about Coleman, our local girl who was hit by a illegal immigrant driving a diesel truck, and now the laws have changed because he shouldn't have been driving that truck. She was almost killed. She was featured in the State of the Union, and yet Val Demings, well, I'll let you hear what she has to say about that. But first, we're headed up to Big Bear Valley once again. Jackie and Shadow, our favorite couple, they have had another egg. I'm sure our guests will tell me there's got to be a better phrase for that. Jenny Voisard joins us live from the Friends of Big Bear Valley. Jenny, thanks again for coming on our broadcast.
Well, thanks for having me again. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, very nice to talk to you. I hate to start with a sad note, but our condolences regarding the death of your colleague, Sandy Steers. We were shocked to hear that.
Well, I really appreciate you for saying that. It has been a difficult month.
I bet.
We had a lot of ups and downs since I've talked to you last. We had eggs, we lost eggs, and then we lost Sandy.
Yeah, yeah.
But we are watching Jackie and Shaq with her and continuing her work as best we can.
This is why I bugged you again, because A, I panicked, and B, our listeners had some questions. I panicked because our local NBC affiliate, their morning show, I don't know if they do it in the evening, but their morning show takes your feed at the beginning and at the end of their show. Twice, Jenny. I've seen both Jackie and Shadow off the nest. Isn't that how the two eggs in January got eaten by the ravens?
Well, it's a little more complicated than that.
Yeah, okay. That's why we called you.
Yes. Everybody is worried and panicking, and I think they're a little triggered over what happened in January.
Yeah.
So let's start with January. Jackie and Shadow were away from the nest for an extended period of time. We're talking a few hours, which is not normal. And we noticed during the day something wasn't quite right with one of the eggs. Now, whether or not that is what kept Jackie and Shadow away from the nest, we do not know. It certainly attracted ravens. There has been territorial activity occurring in the area with other visiting eagles that also could have been a contributing factor to why they were away. We do not know.
Interesting.
The ravens consumed the egg content as part of the circle of life and the connectedness of the ecosystem.
Right.
And the fact that they were able to do that so early allowed Jackie's hormones to reset in her body and lay a rare second clutch of eggs, which is what we are watching her do right now.
Yeah. Are there more eggs expected?
We don't know. As a matter of fact, we are all watching Jackie intently as we speak, looking for signs that she might be going into egg labor.
Yeah. And again, I think I've asked you this in the past, but you can look at the video and tell which one's Jackie and Shadow.
Yes.
What is the difference?
Well, Jackie's bigger than Shadow's. Female bald eagles are bigger than males.
Okay.
Jackie has a slightly different look in her face. So her brow bone is more, protrudes more, so it gives her a fiercer, more sterner look. And Shadow has a rounder head, and so sometimes he sort of has a goofy look.
Kind of like in human beings.
Exactly. And then they get little smudges and little things with their feathers that help folks identify them. But the other day, both Jackie and Shadow had a smudge on their heads, so it's not always foolproof.
Right. Jenny Voisard is our guest. She's one of the folks up at Big Bear Valley, friends of Big Bear Valley. Our listeners asked the question, is hunting exclusively male or does Jackie hunt as well?
They both hunt.
Yeah.
And they both will share incubation duties.
Really?
Yes. So Shadow loves to incubate the eggs. In fact, he looks for excuses to incubate the eggs, and he'll bring Jackie deliveries of fish and things so that he gets a chance. And when she comes to relieve him of his duty, sometimes he pretends like he can't see or hear her.
Just like humans.
Yes, just like humans. But Shadow is an excellent fisherman. He holds the record of fastest catch on the lake.
Really?
And Jackie is a formidable hunter as well.
How do you monitor the speed of the hunt?
It so happened for this particular one that Shadow was on the nest, and then he left and
then came right back with a fish.
Seconds with the fish.
Yeah,
and,
that'll do it.
According to the fishermen on the lake, they also collaborated or confirmed what we knew, that it was a fast catch. So
yeah, wow, that's amazing. I've seen videos of that, and it's absolutely amazing, where they just swoop down and just catch these.
We were talking about their aerodynamics the last time. Designed to catch that. The strength of their talons, their grip is like an inch.
Wow. And
they have this super back talon that can hold on to that fish.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can dive at super speeds, like 100 miles per hour.
Yeah. Incredible speeds. That's the documentary that I told you about that I saw that focused specifically on the aerodynamics and how they fly and all that. It was just riveting. Absolutely riveting. Really, really was. She can have babies, I think I read, up until April. Is that right?
She's fertile until April.
Yeah.
That's her fertility window.
Okay. But doesn't necessarily mean that she'll have more eggs?
Well, we'll see if she lays any more eggs with this particular clutch. So she will lay one egg at a time every 3 to 5 days. So right now we're officially in the window to see if she will lay another egg.
Yeah.
To answer your other question about why they may be gone from the nest for periods of time, it also could be right now that they are doing what is called delayed incubation. So they are away from the nest or off of the eggs for short periods of time in case she does lay another egg so that they would hatch closer together.
Yeah.
So the times that they have left the eggs alone the last couple of days have all been under, I think the longest one was 54 minutes. So no one likes it, but they're eagles and they don't consult with us about what they do. And we don't always know why they're going someplace. And in some cases, they could be right there and we're not able to capture them on our other camera either. So it could be that they're close by. So I know everybody's worrying.
Yeah.
Just deep breaths, and there's nothing that we can do or control any of the outcomes. So all we can do is just enjoy the journey with them.
Yeah. You said that there are more eagles up there in the Big Bear Valley. How many eagles you got up there that you guys, do you monitor them or are you just observing what's going on?
We have seen multiple ground photography that has been submitted to us by some of our members of our Facebook group. And we have some great photographers there. And I think we've seen another adult, a sub-adult, and then a couple of juveniles, at least 3, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Do you monitor their babies? Like, I believe the names were Gizmo and Sunny, was it?
They were not banded, so we don't know if they're in the area or if they're far away. When eagles, their first year, when they're juveniles, they're nomadic. And they can be nomadic for the first few years until they're about 5 and they settle down and, look for a house and a spouse.
Just like humans.
Just like humans.
How early do they can learn how to fish within a year?
Their first year is challenging for juveniles, and they do a lot of scavenging.
Yeah.
They do a lot of stealing.
Yeah.
They're working on protecting their ability to fish and hunt. And, we'll start with a lot of small mammals and things like that until they become the expert fisher.
Yeah. Well, I find it absolutely fascinating. I hope my audience does too. I'm probably putting them to sleep, but I absolutely find it fascinating. And we'll probably keep bugging you through this clutch. Is that what the gestation period is called? A clutch?
Clutch is what is like the batch of eggs.
Okay.
It's a group of eggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long is the gestation period? I think we've asked you that too as well.
Well, it's the incubation period, and for Jackie and Shadow, it typically takes around 40 days from when they hatch, or from when they are laid till they start hatching, if they're going to hatch.
Okay. So it'll be early April, I guess?
Yes, it'll be early April.
Well, you can expect probably an email right around that time from us. I can count on it.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah, it's a joy to talk with you. We appreciate all the hard work you guys do up there, and thanks for coming on the program.
Hey, I really appreciate you too, and I just want to say there's a website called SaveMoonCamp.org where we're working on preserving the land around Jackie and Shadow's habitat. Thank you.
Say it again.
SaveMoonCamp.org.
Save Moon. One more time.
SaveMoonCamp.org.
Okay, SaveMoonCamp.org. Outstanding.
Thank
All right.
you so much.
We'll get that out there. Thanks, Jenny. Take care.
I appreciate it.
You
Bye.
too. Thank you. Quick time out. Bottom of the hour, our Black History Month moment. We come back. We'll check the board, see what you all are talking about. Wrap this thing up. I got 36 holes of golf staring me in the face this weekend. Got a 903 with Mr. Turnipseed tomorrow. It's my turn to buy lunch, but maybe see if my money. I got my card today. Got my new Chase card, but my money has yet to be returned to me. What was that, Wednesday when it happened? Was it yesterday? No, it was Wednesday. It was Wednesday. They told me 3 to 5 days, so I expect Tuesday. But they Federal Express my card. I got that in the mail this morning, or my front door, actually. So, Mike, you're buying lunch. I know it's my turn, but I'll do the next 2. And then Sunday, I'm going to play with Swaim. It's going to be, please stand by, a balmy, oh, dang it. Why is I need a new phone? I really do. Look at that. It's just stuck. Oh, there it is. 78 degrees. So it'll be bearable at 8 o'clock when we tee off. Excited about this weekend. Quick timeout. We're coming right back. It's TRBS on a Friday. Final Friday in February. Right here on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180.
KC, you want to play it?
Right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Monday edition of the First Look program, we'll get you the latest. Let's see, we got Zach Scribner case drama. We got Epstein case drama. We do have March Meat tickets to give away. We got the hot list. We got news. We got traffic. We got weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1 and streaming live on the internet at kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
You know, oddly, one of the things that I rarely talk about when I talk about KC Steakhouse is lunch. If you work downtown, if you work for the county or wherever on Truxton, it's not very far and it's real quick and it's very convenient. And the menu is similar, just smaller portions, and it is outstanding. And the variety on the menu that Chef Daniel has put together now is simply unbelievable. It's mostly a large groups that come to KC Steakhouse. And not everybody's feeling red meat to celebrate someone's birthday or an anniversary or whatever the event may be. And that's why Chef Daniel has advanced the menu. So there is Italian food. I love the fettuccine Alfredo with chicken. The lobster mac and cheese is everybody's favorite. The fish dishes, the mahi-mahi, the swordfish, the halibut. Where would you rather be than on F Street? And don't forget about the Stockyard next door for meetings, banquets, or just having dinner and having some of the craft cocktails that are served next door. It's KC Steakhouse, longtime sponsors of the Ralph Bailey Show.
I'm here with Dr. Tarkesh from Affordable Dentures and Implants. Doc, do people often think dental implants are a one-size-fits-all solution? Can you explain what dental implants are and how they benefit patients?
Yes. For missing teeth. They act like natural tooth roots and support bridges or dentures. Unlike traditional dentures, implants provide a secure fit, look natural, and allow patients to eat, speak, and smile confidently.
No, many people are concerned about the pain involved in procedures.
Some people have a more complex situation or have what we call dental phobia. If so, we offer IV sedation that allows patients to relax completely during their making it a stress-free experience.
Get the smile you've always wanted without anxiety at Affordable Dentures and Implants. Dr. Nozar Tarkesh specializes in implants with IV sedation. Visit them online at affordabledentures.com. Affordable Dentures and Implants. That's what we do. Go ahead and smile.
Are the rising waters of expenses and debt threatening to drown you? Many people try to stay afloat by borrowing more money or using debt settlement programs. Buy now, pay later plans. Chapter 7 bankruptcy could free you much sooner and for a fraction of the cost. Stop the harassing calls and letters. Rebuild your credit quickly and clear the way for a fresh start. At Clean Slate BK Group, consumer Chapter 7 bankruptcies are all we do. We can help you erase credit card debt, medical bills, even past due utility bills. Find out if you qualify at no cost and with no obligation. Go to csbk.com. This is an attorney advertisement. Your results may vary, and prior results do not guarantee a similar outcome. Clean Slate BK Group PC, located at 7 Penn Plaza, Suite 601, New York, 10001, is responsible for the csbk.com. That's csbk.com. Your clean slate starts here.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180.
You said it.
The Ralph Bailey Show.
Without prayer, yeah, I was out of touch.
See what I'm talking about? We don't change the music, Dad.
They say I'm crazy. That makes me crazy.
Ugliest man in the business. Gnarls Barkley. Who you got? Flavor Flav? He and Flavor Flav?
Flavor ugly.
Yeah.
He was hanging out with the entire women's hockey team. Though.
I saw that. Rappers are some of the biggest stars in the Olympics now. Snoop was over there. Flavor Flav was over there. Who could have imagined when we were watching Flavor Flav in the 90s, and he was on that ridiculous show where he hooked up with Sly Stallone's ex-wife. She played Drago's wife in one of the Rockies. What was her name? Big tall broad. Y'all know what I'm talking about. She played Drago's wife in like Rocky 12. You must die, or you go down, or I forget what he says.
If he dies, he dies.
Was that what he says?
Yeah.
If he dies, he dies. I just saw him in a picture. He still looks good. Drago, whoever that is. Sven, or whatever that his name is. I don't know. 842-537-68 KER. What do you got on the board?
Let's see. Ralph, in your statement on television show remakes, it sounded like you weren't familiar with the Netflix remake of Lost in Space. It was excellent while including some shout outs to the original series. The story was original, serious, and engrossing.
I haven't seen it. I get Netflix. I've seen the movie that they did, which was with Matt LeBlanc, and that's about all I can remember who was in the film. But that was horrendous. And really, the series was ridiculous. But this was in the era of our youth when we had 2, 4, and 7. NBC, ABC, CBS, KTLA, KCOP was channel 13, and KHJ was channel 9. It's now KCAL. That's all we had. That's all we had. Dodger games, Laker games were on KHJ. That's all we had. So we ended up watching old reruns of stuff like Bonanza and Lost in Space. And hell, I can remember watching Ironside, which I hated. But, you know, when you got like 5 choices, Raymond Burr in a wheelchair can turn out to be the best. You know what I'm saying? I look back at some of the shows that I watched. Like, you know what I couldn't stand that I watched every Saturday morning? Was the Bill Cosby Show. Doom, 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 doom. Hey, 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 it's Fat Albert. It was Fat Albert. It wasn't called the Bill Cosby Show. I hated Fat Albert. I hated it. I hated that they portrayed, and it was done by a black man. Because my issue growing up, even as a kid, I would turn to my mother and ask her this, Mom, how come all the black women on television are fat? You're not fat, and none of your friends are fat, especially Mrs. Jefferson. I'm just saying. Or Mrs. Murchison. Or Mrs. Seymour. My mom had some fine-ass friends. You got to remember, I'm just 20 years younger than my parents. So when I'm 15 and coming into my, my mom's friends are like 35, 36 years old and married to physicians. So they're good-looking women. And you see why he's hanging around my parents. Anyway, where was I going with this, Chris? You got to pay attention to the broadcast, bro. Even on a late Friday afternoon. My place. I was talking about old shows. Right. Oh, that's what I was asking my mother. I was asking my mother why all the black women on television were fat. That's My Mama was a humongous woman. Florida Evans was overweight. Esther Roll. You name it. The only woman on television when I was growing up that wasn't fat was Aunt Esther, and she was ugly. And I was just, it just pissed me off to no end. And as I've always talked about, because this is long before the Cosby Show. Long before the Cosby Show. This is Sanford and Son. A brother in the ghetto selling junk. This is Good Times. A family that can't get out of Cabrini Green in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? And as I've always mentioned, the only affluent African-American on television was George Jefferson, who was an idiot, who was a racist. He was a great character. Don't get me wrong. I love the Jefferson. And Fat Albert, there was the one kid that talked like this. And I always wondered why Bill Cosby, the educated man, would portray a black person to talk like this. And then there was Fat Albert, who weighed 350 pounds. And the guy that wore the hat, I was like, but I watch it every Saturday. I watch it every Saturday because, again, at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning with 9, 6, 7 channels, Wasn't much of a choice. Quick time out. We end Black History Month with the greatest African American I ever knew. You'll learn about Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. when we come back.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
One last lap.
With SON News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Former President Bill Clinton told members of Congress on Friday that he did nothing wrong in his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and saw no signs of Epstein's sexual abuse as he faced hours of grilling from lawmakers over his connection to the disgraced financier from more than 2 decades ago. President Trump says he's pretty much decision on whom to endorse in Texas's heated Republican Senate primary, but he still refuses to name his pick publicly. On Friday in Corpus Christi, he praised the three, Ken Paxton, John Cornyn, and Wesley Hunt, in the same speech. He also repeated his main campaign themes on the economy, energy, and security. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 521 points. More details at sonnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. 24-year-old Salvador Daniel Gutierrez is wanted by Bakersfield police in the killing of 34-year-old Justin Leon Randall of Bakersfield in June of 2025 on H Street. Police say Gutierrez and another man beat Randall to death, and Alberto Felix was booked Wednesday. The shootings last week in the area of Chester W. Nimitz Street near Panama Lane, Pioneer Drive, and near the Golden Valley High School campus on Hosking Avenue, in which 40-year-old Francis all part of a drug deal that did not go as planned, say Bakersfield. For all the info they can get, no arrests have been made yet. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour and when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for
Travis Buck Sexton Show. It is the eve of down in Texas. 3 major Republican candidates battling it out. Democrats as well. What's going to happen in the Senate race there? We'll be joined by our friend Michael Berry.
Hey, come back
down
with
in Houston to give us the latest on
tell.
Lone Star State political dynamics. You won't want to miss it.
got?
Monday
What you got
edition.
coming in?
Come hang with us on Clay.
Okay, Live 9 News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. Live 9 to noon.
Well, let me see if I
Now
can get my card.
back to
If I
the
can get my
Ralph
card,
Bailey Show on News Talk
Roberto. One of the greatest artists who ever lived. Frank Sinatra said he's the greatest singer ever heard. That's what Sinatra always said. Greatest singer ever said. We are wrapping up Black History Month with the finest African American I ever knew. Hello. He'd screw it up on my pop. This is one bio. Oh, pipe down. This is one bio. I don't have to look at Wikipedia. Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. was born August 17th, 1942 in Beaufort, South Carolina. In the very home, 1010 North Street, downtown Beaufort, where his older and younger brother are still living. Right on the corner of 1010 North Street, about 3 blocks from Tabernacle Church, about 4 blocks from downtown, about 5 blocks from the Piggly Wiggly. He was a young math genius at Robert Smalls High School. He skipped the 10th grade. He graduated from Robert Smalls High School at the age of 16. It was a chemistry teacher who came to him and said, "Do you understand your math ability, your math skills?" And suggested that my father become a pharmacist. My grandfather got in his ear and said, "If your math is that good, why don't you try to become a doctor?" And that suddenly got planted into his head. He entered Morehouse College and graduated at the age of 20, at which time he married a young woman who was attending Knoxville College by the name of Mary Harriet Dolly. And according to these 2 liars, they planned to have he was off to Mary Medical College, and where 4 years later they would adopt Patrice Yvette Bailey, because my mother was told she probably most likely would never have children again. Despite the fact 6 years later, Bettina Charlotte Bailey, who passed away 6 years ago, would be born to the family as well. My father graduated from Mary Medical School and went on to join the Navy with many of the same men that carried his casket out in 1999. Dr. Richard Jefferson, Dr. Wilbur Sewsbury, who may have been a physician for many of you. Dr. Sewsbury was the first from Los Angeles to move up here that planted the idea in my father's mind, which brought me up here. But Wilbur Sewsbury was a dear friend of my father's. Like I said, he was one of the 8 men that carried one of his pallbearers, and he was an ear, nose, and throat surgeon out at Delano Regional Medical Center. In fact, he operated on JR's daughter, Lily, on her ear. So many of you may know Dr. Sewsbury. They were all in the Navy together in New York City. In fact, we were all 3 of the 5 families that became family with us were stationed at St. Albans. Sam and Carol Williams, whose son Chris would later be my childhood friend, lived next door to us at St. Albans and would move as a group to Cerritos, California. The Williamses lived on Kensington Circle. We lived on Caliente Avenue, 17409 Caliente. And the Sewsburys lived around the corner on Henderson Avenue. And these 5 men kind of kept their families close together throughout this entire ordeal. They would then all kind of move into Los Angeles because they were all about the same age and they were broke in their 20s going through their residency and their internship. Right around 30, all of them started making money, and we moved out of Cerritos. 3 of those families moved to Ladera Heights, which is right near Fox Hills, kind of near Culver City. And the 2 other families moved to Palos Verdes, the Sewsburys and the Williamses, where my parents would join them some 5 years later. My father suffered his first heart attack. He became chief of staff of anesthesia at West Adams Community Hospital, where he gave a doctor here, you may know, Dr. Hugh Beatty, his first gig as an anesthesiologist. Mr. Beatty did not stay with anesthesia. As you know, you may know, he's a general practitioner now here in Bakersfield. But my father suffered his first heart attack too. And to be blunt with you, just literally never really took it seriously. He didn't smoke, he hardly drank. But after his second heart attack, some 3 years later, he literally went back to work 2 weeks after his surgery, which literally had my mother in tears, had his doctors livid, but there was no talking to my father. At that point in his career, to be blunt, he was having trouble getting work. I don't know if you're aware of this, but anesthesiologists have the highest malpractice insurance because if something's going to go wrong in a surgery, it's most likely going to be involved with the anesthesia, not the surgeon. Anesthesiologists also have a suicide rate as well. And with 2 heart attacks under your belt, your insurance gets extremely high, and the hospitals are fairly reluctant to deal with you. And to be honest, my dad was having trouble getting steady work in Los Angeles after being chief of staff of anesthesia. Fortunately for our family and for me and the rest of our family, surgery centers became very popular in the early 90s. These small little tiny hospitals, and I say that with air quotes, where you could come in and have a quick surgery done. And my father could do 4 or 5 procedures in an afternoon. And that's why he moved to Bakersfield for a short period, where he turned over his apartment to his knucklehead son so he could graduate from CSUB. My father then returned to Los Angeles, and the entire family moved up here. And he was working full-time at Delano Regional and doing the surgery centers as well. And then the single worst day of my life to this January 24th, 1999. My parents were headed, ironically, to Los Angeles to see a friend who was in the hospital. My mother, fortunately, was running late. My father told my mother he had an upset stomach, that he was going to go to the Texaco on White Lane in Gosford, put some gas in the car, get some Alka-Seltzer, and he'd be back to pick her up. And of course, that never happened. He had his 3rd and final heart attack right there on the corner of White Lane and Gosford. He was leaving the gas station. The attendant said they heard, I interviewed the attendant. They said they heard a smashing of the car, and they saw a black man's head on his steering wheel. And my father was pronounced dead at the hospital later that day. The incredible thing about that horrendous morning is I was literally within a mile from where he died. Like I said, he passed away at that gas station on White Lane and Gosford, and I was dating a young woman who was living on Hilton Head Avenue, which is also ironic because Hilton Head Island is about 45 minutes from Beaufort, South Carolina. It's where I spent just about every Easter of my youth with my parents and our family, and that's where Roxana lived, and that's where I got the phone call from Wilbur, who just told me, go home and see your mother. And I wouldn't get off the phone until he finally told me what was going on, although I had a pretty good guess, obviously, with a father who'd already had 2 heart attacks. And he simply said, your dad's gone. Your dad's gone, Ralph. And as Roxanne told me, I don't remember any of this. She said, I was on the phone backing up until I backed up into a wall, and I never said goodbye to Susbury. I just hung up the phone. And I walked out of the house, and Roxanne said, what is it? And I said, my dad is gone. I just walked outside. And I can never really explain this, but I went outside. It was about 7 o'clock in the morning. It was 6:45, 7 o'clock in the morning. I went outside of Roxanne's apartment, and I just sat on the grass for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. And I've always been haunted by that. So why did I not immediately go to my family? Why did I not immediately go to my mother's side? And as weird as it may sound, the fact that my father had 2 heart attacks before his final fatal one, I didn't see it coming. I really didn't. My father was doing everything right. I've always joked that Roxana and I used to go by my parents' house to get a free meal. But at the end of my dad's life, we stopped because my mom was brown rice and all kind of healthy food. We were like, we'll go across the street to Applebee's. And I just didn't see it coming. Not at 56. You know, I knew he wouldn't live as long as my mother was going to turn 84 this summer. But I thought he'd get into his 60s. I thought he'd get into his 70s. I never saw my dad at 56 passing away. And it's really unfortunate that since I've made this my home and now my best friends are here and all the people that I love are here, it's just unfortunate. So many of my friends didn't really get to know my dad. I'd only been here about 7 years when he passed away. And so a lot of the friends that I had back then, I don't have anymore. And so they knew him, but not a whole lot of people knew him. One of the best stories about my dad and my mom, and I've told this 1,000 times, but I was the weekend anchor at Channel 23. And I was filling in for the main anchor, and I was talked about constantly. And I think Derek Jeffrey would tell you this. The final story of a newscast, you can watch tonight in about 15 minutes. It's called A Kicker, and it is about three things. It's about animals, children, or food. And this kicker on this Friday was about the biggest pumpkin in Ohio. That was our kicker. And then when the story ended, the director in our IFB said, "We're short. We got about a minute 12. You guys got to stretch," which wasn't my forte. And so it means that Heather and I have to fill a minute with our just going back and forth. And she said, "Boy, I bet that makes a hell of a pumpkin pie." And then the black Ralph came out at me, and I said, "Pumpkin pie? Who eats pumpkin pie? It's sweet potato pie." And she was like, "I've never had sweet potato pie." Now I'm 33, 34 years old. And I was like, "What? You've never had sweet potato? How is that? You're lying. Come on, Heather." Like, swear, I've never had it. I've never had sweet potato. How is that humanly possible? And I would like look in the camera, and we got it caught people's attention because we got cards and letters and phone calls. I've never had sweet potato pie. Well, I had Mondays and Tuesdays off because I was the weekend guy. And I came back on Wednesday, and I walk in, and to a person, people are walking up to me and saying, "Your parents are wonderful." And I'm like, "What the hell? What?" Everybody's like, "What?" And finally, somebody said, "Your parents came down here. Your dad was in his scrubs. Your mom was with him with 2 or 3 sweet potato pies. Apparently, she watched the broadcast Friday and found out that none of us have had sweet potato pie. And your mom brought these 3 pies down." They didn't even tell me. And yeah, I didn't even get a slice of the damn pie. That's just who my parents, who my mom is, and my dad is. I mean, I guess I hope everybody feels this way about their dad, but my dad truly was a badass. He really was. I wish you could see the high school that he came out of. You would say no educated person came out of this school. There were 10 buildings. It's amazing that anybody could have come out of that. And just the obstacles that he overcame, and the tenure of the country in the 1960s for a young black man from Beaufort, South Carolina. I've told you the story about how he got accepted to USC in Columbia, and they first said, "You're not Ralph Bailey," because in the 50s, the licenses didn't have pictures on them. So they first told him, you're not Ralph Bailey. Then when they confirmed that he was Ralph Bailey, they told him that there'd been a mistake and that he had not been admitted. And for 2 or 3 days, as my uncle used to tell me, my dad just kind of wandered around because he was humiliated, embarrassed, and didn't want to go back home. And finally, he came back home, and my grandfather was like, "That's fine. I wanted you to go to Morehouse anyway." And they both got on a train with my uncle, Charles, not Irvin, his older brother, and they escorted him to Atlanta. And he started his career at Morehouse and continued his affair with Mary Harriet Dolly, who was graduating from Knoxville College at the time. And like I said, they planned to have a big-headed, freckle-faced boy their senior year, which is the biggest bunch of crap they've ever tried to sell me. But they stuck to their story. Like, we called my mom right. She'd say, "Oh yeah, after I graduated, I wanted to have a baby." Right. That's what every young couple plans, right? We graduate, then we have a baby, then we go to med school. I still don't believe it. Just don't believe it. That's my pop, Ralph Emerson Bailey Sr. Let's go ahead and take our final break of the week. I got to get up early. Got a 9:03 tea time. I'm going to get there about 8 o'clock, the way I played last week. I'm going to get there about 8 o'clock. And I don't think balls. I think I'm going to go to the chipping area and just chip and putt. Because that's my problem. I'm not going to hit greens. So what's the point of me hitting irons? I'm not going to hit greens. But I have got to get on the green and 3 and 2 putt. Got to. Because every now and again, I might hit a green and 2 putt for par. But making 6 and 7s just doesn't make any sense. Doubles and that just, for a guy who's been playing golf for what, 35 years, that's just 54 on the back last week. 54. That almost makes me want to quit. But I just can't and won't. Just can't. Can't do it. Final timeout. Coming right back. Keep it locked. It's the Ralph Bailey Show On News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Attention truck, SUV, minivan, car owners, and RVs. If it's got an engine, then you need change. Kern Oil Change keeps it running right. No appointments, no long wait, just fast, honest service from guys who get it. They top off your fluids, check your tires, all done while you chill in your ride or in our waiting room. Kern Oil Change is built for people who don't to waste. 2 locations to serve you: 3706 Copy Road and 5651 Auburn Street. Kern Oil Change is open 7 days a week. Get in, get out, get going. Follow us on Instagram for additional savings.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Sangera Subaru. You know, the Subaru A Lot to Love event is going on now through March 31st at Sangera Subaru. And of course, spring is the best time to get an incredible offer on that new Subaru you've been wanting.
Whenever ready.
Three, you ready? 3, 2. God damn it. I'll feel like we know your pops. Love you, brother. Ready? 3, 2. The fascinating thing about this Texas Senate race is that Trump is staying out of it. Even though he was in Corpus Christi on Friday, he won't endorse John Cornyn, the incumbent, who's trailing the Attorney General, John Paxton. John Paxton played for the Chicago Bulls. 3, 2. The fascinating thing about this Texas Senate race is that Trump is staying out of it. He's Bennett. He ain't in it. He's not endorsing John Cornyn, the incumbent, who's trailing the Attorney General, Ken Paxton, and Wesley Hunt, the African-American, is hanging in there as well. And on the other side, Jasmine Crockett had a lead on James Tellerico, but as I've told you, I guarantee James Tellerico's going to win that, even though we want Crockett. Pay attention. This is a fascinating race. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Monday TRBS. I have no idea what we're doing Monday. No G. Kathy. What's going on this weekend? Anything? Close for the opening day?
Sure.
Hmm?
Sure. Like I'm trying to think of something political, and I really can't think of anything.
I mean, is there anything going on sports-wise this weekend?
Not really. I mean, the combine is going, but
oh, okay. All right. We'll preview the draft. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Monday TRBS. Well, it's a Monday. Kathy Abernathy will be here, and we'll talk a little NFL. The combines are starting to wind down, which means the draft is about to come, and the countdown for opening day and the 3P. All that, me at 3. It's TRBS, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KER. And I'll see you Monday.
Morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now, all new music. If I took a shot every time I heard that song, I'd be dead.
I never play that song.
Where was It's Tricky? I gave you that. I gave you You Never Can Tell. Never heard that. I gave you
you told me these songs with literally 30 songs left in the show.
Well, then they should have been the last 2 or 3 songs.
I gave
the Brady Bunch theme song.
I gave you Tony Bennett and Crazy.
I don't want to be around to pick up the pieces. I'm gonna change the music completely. Watch. 842-537-6842-KER. And don't forget, less than a month on Flight Open. And I get to play this year. I'm excited. And I'm excited to play with one of you two or 2 of you. Whatever the situation is, we're going to raffle off. JR and I are going to play as a twosome. We're going to raffle off the other 2 spots. You get to stink it up with us, which is that we're going to have a really good time. We're going to shoot 126, but we're going to have a really, really good time. This is the first time I've ever been able to play. It's our 4th annual Honor Flight tournament. And for the last 3 years, I've been stuck on hole number 3, hitting shots for everybody. But so this is my first opportunity to actually play in the tournament. I'm excited. And I can guarantee you, if you spend some money, a little extra dough, and get in the twosome with JR and I, we're gonna have some fun. we may not play well. We may be rolling the ball out of the place, take a 2 to get out of a trap, but we're gonna have some fun, Jack. I can guarantee you that. What do you got on the board? I got to go home. I got a 9:03 tea time tomorrow.
Just the first one says Bridget Nielsen.
Bridget Nielsen, that's who was dating Flavor Flav on that stupid show and married Sylvester Stallone and Mark Gastineau. Remember that? Remember that? Do you remember Mark Gastineau?
That one doesn't ring a bell, no.
Really? You're supposed to be the sports guy. He's part of the sack exchange with the Jets. He was one of the best pass rushers.
Yeah, no, you're
Has a daughter that I don't think he had with Bridget. I think the hottie daughter was with his first wife. But Gastineau still shows up at like the draft. He's like punch drunk and shouldn't be showing up at events, but he does. He was a badass player at the time. But yeah, Bridget Nielsen was the name we were thinking. What else you got?
It's actually all we got right now.
Really? All right. Our top story today, obviously, has been the Bill Clinton situation. I probably should not have had that as lead. I think the Iranian situation is more interesting. And I think the Texas Senate race is fascinating because it's all over, folks. There is a distinct opportunity. And you know, it started, like I say, with that congressional race where Trump won by 17 points back in January. And now a Democrat walked into that district and won it by 14 points. And Trump won Texas, which is a huge state. It's not our largest, like many of you believe. What is our largest state, Chris Burdick?
By size? Alaska.
Yes. Alaska is the largest state in the union, not Texas. Everybody thinks it's Texas, not Texas. I should have looked this up, but I think it's Alaska, Texas, Florida, or California, Florida.
California, Florida, I think.
California's bigger than Florida? Yeah. From Jacksonville to Miami? Eureka to San Diego? Yeah, San Diego's. Yeah, we got to be bigger. Yeah, because you can get from Jacksonville to Miami in like 6-7 hours. It would take you forever to get from San Diego to like Eureka. And Eureka is not the northernmost part of California.
Yeah, so California is 163,000 square
we're
miles
third?
compared to 65,000 Florida.
So we're third. Florida's fourth. Sequential order.
California's the 3rd largest state. Florida's actually the 14th.
Really? What's bigger than Florida?
I'm not sure. Give me 1 second. It's only.
Hold on, let me think about that. What would be bigger than Florida? Wyoming, one of those mountain. Damn, I would have thought Florida was 4th. It's 14th.
So it goes Alaska, Texas, California.
Let me guess. I can't. What? Wyoming, Minnesota.
This is by square miles.
Pennsylvania. I really don't have a clue.
Montana.
I knew it was one of those. Yeah, like what's 5th?
New Mexico.
New Mexico?
Arizona.
New Mexico's bigger than Florida.
So they're saying, yeah, by square miles.
I would have never guessed that. I never in a million years would I have guessed Florida was 14. Must be skinny. I've never driven north to west or east to west on Florida. I've only driven north south.
As a Nevada, Colorado, Wyoming, and Oregon round out the top.
Colorado is bigger than Florida?
Idaho is bigger than Florida, technically.
That's crazy.
Utah as well.
Wow. Who knew? Certainly not me. Geography, not my strong point, as you can tell. Want to thank our good friend Rick Bentley and new friend Jenny Voisard, from the Friends of Big Bear Valley. And all of you, and my good friend Torrance Stevens. Torrance, if you're still listening, love you, Pop. For Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. Have a great weekend. We'll wrap to you Monday.
This is AM 1180 KERN, Green Acres. 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERN.
Say what? Say what?
News this hour from Town Hall. In Washington. U.S. Embassy staff in Israel are being urged to quickly leave the country amid the threat of possible military action against Iran. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
U.S. Ambassador Mike Huckabee encouraged embassy
guys.
staffers
Have a
to
good
immediately
weekend.
book flights out of Israel and to make their way to Washington. He wrote in an email that outbound flights may or may not be available over the coming days. President Trump has threatened military action